Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final day of the Irish Open Swimming Championships, coming to you from the National Aquatic Centre here in Blanchardstown. We've had 4 tough but really great days of racing, and we cannot wait to bring you this final day, closing out the meet. I'm David Thompson, joined with India McGlynn. India, what have we got coming up?
So today, David, again, yes, we have another day of exciting races. We start off with the women's 50-metre backstroke. We'll have Danielle Hill going in the fastest entry time there. Her time of 28.00. She'll be looking to go that Irish senior record, which is just 5/100ths of a second faster than her entry time. We then move on to the men's 200-metre IM, followed then by the women's 200-metre breaststroke. Again, we've got Mona McSherry, our Irish senior record holder in that 100-metre breaststroke. So she'll be taking that fastest position of Heat 5, lane number 4. So be looking for a fast in from Mona, maybe not this morning, but definitely this evening. Then we're followed by your favourite event, the men's 50-metre freestyle, David. And then we have the women's 200-metre freestyle. And our final event of the morning will be the men's 1500-metre freestyle. Yeah,
so some good events this morning. Really looking forward to that 50-free. Obviously, we had Tom Fannin breaking that Irish senior record on the first 50 of that 100-metre freestyle on day 2, so he's going to have to look to back that up again on the individual here, so interesting to see what he goes. Also Callum Bain as well, that he's been the premium 50-metre freestyle sprinter for years in this country. But first up, we have the women's 50-metre backstroke. No qualifications for this for summer meets, as it's not an Olympic event. And National Performance Director John Rudd is looking to focus on the Olympics really for next year. Everything is in sort of preparation for that, even though it's not on this summer. It's all gearing towards those Olympics. But with 6 heats here, we have Maria Godden, obviously. She got that shock win in that 100-metre backstroke last night, getting her hand on the wall ahead of Danielle Hill, who in the morning qualified for the World Championships. So that was a bit of a turnout, wasn't it, India?
Yeah, absolutely. We had some fantastic swims last night, David. So we had the 200-metre freestyle for men, where we saw Jack Casson really put it up to Finn McGeever there in that kind of final 10 metres of the 200 freestyle. But let's not forget Conor Ferguson's time there in the 100-metre back roll as well. That was a fantastic swim from him.
Unbelievable swim from Conor. So happy for him. You know, he's been 7 years around that kind of time, 54.3. I think he won a slight PB 3-4 years back, but that was his first kind of breakthrough again. So it just shows you, folks, stick at it. You'll get there eventually. But on heat 1, women's 50 back, starting us off with some sprinting, 1 length.
Again, like you said, David, we only have 6 heats of this 50-metre back roll splash and dash. So these girls here, they're going to be looking to post a fast time. But we've got some interesting names in this event. We've got Danielle Hill, Ellen Walsh, Molly McNulty, Lottie Cullen, Jenna McDougall. But focusing on heat number 1 now, we're coming just past that 25-metre mark. It looks like lane number 3 is taking the lead, but we also have a good swim there from lane number 8 as well. So it's definitely just going to be on the fingertips here at the end.
Yeah, lane number 8 keeping those legs going stronger than the rest. She's going to come in quite comfortably. That's O'Connor in a 33.16. That's a big PB, 1.7 odd seconds there. So nice to see that outside smoke coming in. Got that nice clear water to the side of you on the outside lane, so you don't have any splash to deal with. So she takes it, 33.16.
Yeah, we had all our girls there entered on a 34, so we had 3 girls breaking that 34-second barrier, bringing it down to a 33. And like you said, Keelan O'Connor taking that first position in a 33.16. So moving on to heat number 2, again, we have only about half a second separating the entire field here. So again, these girls are going to be looking to work on that kind of technical work, so getting a good pull off the, using the ledge, getting their body weight up out of the water, getting a nice arch to their back, getting a good deep underwater kick, and then breaking out solidly in that first 15 metres, David.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a lot of strength to pull yourself up when the starter says take your marks. Excuse me. So if you look, pay attention to as we get through the heats, the level of strength of these girls will increase, so they'll be able to pull themselves up higher. The higher you can pull yourself up, the more better angle you're going to get to launch yourself off and get a better entry. So take a quick look here. Up. You almost want to get your hips completely out of the water if possible. But we're off here again. Looks like lane number 6 has had a really good start. Nimiroska of Kumine. Looking nice, but then actually settling into her stroke really nicely is lane number 7. That's Maeve O'Rourke. She's just kind of coasting through that long loping stroke. Good head kick, slight amount of bounce, but she looks like she's going to take it here, India.
Yeah, lane number 1 really putting up to her, but it does look like our fastest time there is going to be O'Rourke in lane number 7, 32.79. So again, breaking that 33-second barrier, really strong. Our fastest qualifier, lane 4, Delgado, she was missing in that event. So nice to see Maeve O'Rourke there in that outside lane taking the win.
Yeah, that Irish senior record from 2019 is Danielle Hill, 27.95. She snuck under that 28 mark. I don't know how many times she's done it since. But she'll be looking to, she's had a bit of a mixed meet, by her standards. She's had a couple of wins, but a few close second place finishes, so learning curve for her as well. She's got a great attitude. She'll not let any second places or defeats phase her in any way.
Absolutely. She has had a busy schedule this weekend, but she usually does, to be fair to Danielle. So, she takes these things in her stride. And yesterday we thought she was going to go out as Danielle Chill, but she really did take it out in that first swim as Danielle Hill. So, be interesting to see how she takes this first 50. Let's see if she's going to use both the heat and the final swim to try and break that Irish senior record.
Yeah, she'll want to finish off the meet strong. This is Danielle Hill. But heat 3. Trying to watch out what swimmers stay under the water the longest. Those are the swimmers with the better underwater kicks. So looks like lane number 5 has utilised that 15 metres underwater. Pretty close coming into this 25. You got to set up the stroke, keep the head back. Top of your picture there. Lane number 7 it looks like. Curry.
Yeah, lane number 7 and lane number 3 taking it out really well. So we've got Jacobs and Curry kind of just coming into the finish, but it does look like it's going to be lane number 7 taking it in a 32.23. So that is Curry. Her entry time is 33.13. So good, nearly full second PB there for Olivia Curry.
Yeah, great swim. She sort of didn't have the best start of the field. Didn't notice her straight off the bat, but then she really settled into her stroke and then just sort of took control of the race. 32.23, comfortably takes it. So moving on to heat 4, this is going to be our first of our seeded heats. So all these swimmers, especially these swimmers in middle lanes, will be looking to get second swims for tonight.
Yeah, we've got Jenna McDougall coming up in lane number 4. She is our UCD swimmer, so under head coach Earl McCarthy. Earl spent a lot of time actually working on her underwaters, specifically since the short course season. So, we're going to be looking for Jenna to really take out that first 15 metres nice and hard, but she has actually been proving that this weekend so far.
Absolutely, yes. So Niamh Partney as well had a good swim yesterday, and that. Trying to think what it was. Was it a 2? Can't actually remember what it was, but it was. She took a win in that B final yesterday evening. I was 2 medley, 2 IM, I think it was. She did well in, so she's riding on a high. The Ard summer. You can see lane 5 there, Niamh Partney, like I was saying, right out of the water, hips right out of the water. But it is McDougall, as India said, showing that dominance, the UCD swimmer.
Yeah, she looked really, really well there in that first 50 metres. She's been working hard at it, and her stroke rate is looking good for this first 50. Her head is really still a little bit of a bob here as she comes into this last 10 metres, but she's definitely dominating this heat number 4. Her entry time of a 29.62, and she finishes in a 29.19. So good swim there from Jenna. Good PB, nearly half a second.
Yeah, great swim. 29.19. As India said, that's fast in her entry time. Good bit. She'll be back tonight. No doubts about that. Actually have no Maria Golden in this one. She might be opting to do a time trial or 200 medley or something. Let me have a look. I don't know. I don't know what she's doing.
Maria's got I think I was chatting to her dad earlier, who's on commentary down on deck. I think Maria's actually going for a 200 metre backhaul time trial today, seeing as she just missed out on that qualifying time on day number 1.
That must be it, yeah. I noticed she's not going for the 3-peat. The 50 back, 100 back and 200 back. So just missed out by what was it, 0.3 or something, was it?
Very, very low numbers. Yeah, I think it was about 0.2 of a second for that 200 meter backstroke. And we know that she is on form, so I think, having that 200 meter backstroke, and she does rise to the competition as well. So being able to take it out on her own, I think she might get that time now in this 200 time trial today.
Yeah, we've had a lot of swimmers been very, very close to qualification times, just off. Spoke to Nathan Whiffen, who'll be in action later tonight in the men's 1500. He missed the 800 freestyle under 23 Europeans time by 0.3.
Yeah, it was extremely
over 800
close.
0.3, but he was so upbeat after it. He didn't let it annoy him. He was very positive. So great attitude there, but so many swimmers close.
Yeah, we had the likes of Dara Green last night. That fantastic race in that 200 breaststroke between
race.
Cook, Corby, and Green. That was a fantastic race, and Dara just missing out on that qualifying time.
I've never seen a 200 breast like that in my life.
I've never seen such a fast last 50 from Dara Green.
It's like he had fins on, flying. Okay. Heat number 5.
Looks like we have an empty lane there in lane number 5. Cora Rooney not taking out that 50 meter backstroke as well.
And we're off nicely. You want to get a good angle aiming down towards the pool, bottom of the pool, so you can utilise that underwater kick. But like we thought it is, Lottie Cullen, swim Belfast.
Yeah, Lottie's been having a fantastic schedule so far. She's looking strong here in this 50 metre backstroke as well. And like you said, David, really, really strong off the wall. She has a very arched back, like you said, pointing down towards the pool as she takes off. But she's going to be finishing strong here as long as she can hit the wall dead on. And 29.91, so slightly slower than the previous heat, Jenna McDougall. But again, probably about a second over her entry time as well.
Yeah, just getting the job done this morning. You just got to get a place for tonight. She's done that. The Belfast swimmer, so there'll be nobody touching Danielle Hill tonight. That would be a massive tournament for the books if Danielle Hill would have got beaten to 50. So I assume Danielle will just go through the motions here this morning. Got Ellen Walsh beside her, so watch out for Ellen Walsh on the underwaters. She probably has underwaters as good, if not better than Danielle, but she definitely won't have the speed across the water that Danielle has on backstroke. So interesting to see the two of them, the two different kinds of swimmers. Danielle is more sprinter. Ellen Walsh, obviously, very versatile. 100 fly, 200 IM, 400 IM. She dabbles in breaststroke, doesn't she? So interesting to see who comes up first at 15 here, India.
Absolutely, yeah. It'll be definitely a battle of the underwaters here for lane number 4 and lane number 5. But I think they'll just do what they need to get into this evening swim. But off they go. We also have Roisin Nirien there in lane number 6. She did a fantastic swim in her 200 metre IM time trial last night. But it is Danielle, I think, just taking the lead there on that 15 metres.
But yeah, like I said, Ellen would have the strong underwaters, but Hill will be superior over the water. She'll be coasting enough this morning, but Hill's definitely got more of a longer, more controlled kind of rate. She touches in 28.56. That's a seriously good heat swim from her. Ellen Walsh, 29.0. Extremely versatile. She can swim any event and just does it well. That's good from Hill. 28.5. Irish senior record of 27.9. That'll be in her sights tonight. She'll want to finish off the meet with a high.
Absolutely. You can't see her there, folks, on the screen, but just looking down at Danielle in the pool, she doesn't look too phased after that swim, the 28.56. So, yeah, it definitely does look like she has a little bit more left in the tank. And like we said, she definitely is an evening performer. So, it'll be interesting to see if she can dip below that 28 seconds this evening.
Yeah, I hope Ellen does that tonight. Interesting to see what she can go as well. 28 mid, maybe. It was such a good underwater, really tight, fast tempo to her fly kick. So you sort of get two kinds of fly kick, don't you, Indy? You get that sort of sharp, fast fly kick that they take, a lot of kicks, and then you get that sort of longer, sort of more powerful fly kick. When I raced with Jordan Sloan and Jack McMillan, two of them were unbelievable underwater kickers, but very different technically. Jordan had a real fast, really sharp, almost like a fish fly kick, but Jack was this more long, loping power kind of kick.
Absolutely, yeah. There's definitely is different styles in that underwater, but if there are any young swimmers watching this stream as well, I would go back over majority of Ellen Walsh's swims, particularly the last kind of 50s of her longer events, so the likes of her 200 IM, her 400 IM. She's still able to maintain that underwater work as well. So I think the last 50 of her 200 meter IM pushing off the wall, she was still pretty much hitting about 10 or 12 meters. So that's how much work is required to really work on those underwaters as well. Because at the end of the day, you can actually swim faster under the water than you can on top of the water, so you might as well utilise that kind of work too.
Yeah, it's very tough to do that, you know, in the last 50, but of like a 200 free or 200 medley or 200 back, but you see if you can do it, you'll reap the rewards massively.
Absolutely. So we have a change of event here. I think they're just testing the lanes there, but it's the men's 200 meter IM. We have 5 heats in this event. So our fastest qualifier is Owen Corby, and again we spoke about him earlier. He went out in that 200 meter breaststroke last night. That fantastic race between himself and Dara.
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting to see. Corby was disappointed. You know, he wanted to get that World Championship consideration time, and even get down around his PB of 2:10, but you know, it doesn't always happen. Swimming's a sport, sometimes you don't get better, especially at that level. You know, sometimes you have to have a year or two of just plateauing a wee bit, and then, you know, you'll reap the rewards afterwards. So you just got to stick with it. He'll be in the 200 medley this morning, as India said.
We saw the likes of that with Conor Ferguson, so he hasn't really had the best swimming over the past couple of years, but he's definitely, you know, he's stuck at it, and he's really starting to come back on form now.
Yeah, it just shows you stick at it. Not even if you don't swim well at a meet such as this, you know, you come in and you've trained hard and you maybe don't get the performances you want to. Well, you don't lose any of that work. You know, you don't lose anything of that work. That'll all come in to play, whether it's in the summer, whether it's next year. You know, you don't lose it. It'll, you know, you'll have learned from not doing as well. And I spoke to Dara Green last night. You know, he was visibly, you know, you could tell before the interview he was a bit upset. You know, but you know, he was so experienced that he knows that you learn more from those bad swims than you do from the good ones. The good ones, you sort of think, oh, well, I don't have to change anything. You know, I'll just do what I've always done. But from the bad ones, you go, well, I actually have to change X, Y, Z. Isn't that right?
Absolutely, it is. So just returning to the pool here, this is the first heat of our 200 meter IM for men. So it is lane number 3, that's Balthazar Allende. He is taking the first 100. So we had a strong start from Finlayson in lane number 2, but it is Balthazar that's taking this third 50. And spoken about it before, David, it is the breaststroke leg that's going to define the field here, but it looks like Balthazar is staying comfortably strong on the lead.
Yeah, he's looking real good. He's trying to hold that glide as best as he can, as the breaststroke is the most sort of defining moment of a 200 medley, men or women. You know, you've got to be able to have, if your breaststroke isn't good, you've got to just be able to have a competent stroke and kind of get through it. If you have a good breaststroke, you'll really, really benefit. So he's coming through. It is Allende. Really, really nice breaststroke leg there. And then it's all legs. The back end of a 200 medley is all legs. How fit are your legs? How fit is your aerobic capacity? You know, so Allende taking control, nice. Doesn't look to be the tallest of guys, but he's really got that nice tempo and nice high rate to his stroke.
Absolutely, that was a great action shot there. So you can really see that engine from behind. He's got a good, strong leg kick as he finishes into these last 5 meters. So his entry time is a 2:27.90, and he does break that comfortably in a 2:24.69. So it's a fantastic swim from him there. He allowed lane number 2 to take the lead on that first 50 fly. He kind of just stayed on their shoulder, but then clearly his back roll and his breaststroke legs are quite strong. So he was able to come back strong and take that first heat in a time of 2:24.
Yeah, great swim. 200 medley, a fascinating event to watch. Always love watching it at any level, because you just don't know what kind of, you know, result you're going to get out of swimmers. You know, this Chinese swimmer won, can't remember his name off the top of my head, he won the Olympics in Tokyo, but I was certain Duncan Scott was going to win it, because coming into sort of the last 50, Duncan Scott's obviously supreme freestyler, and he was very close to the, escapes me the name of the Chinese guy, but I was like, Duncan's going to take it. He's a better freestyler, he's better, but the Chinese swimmer was so just competent and fit and good, and he had a good tempo and he knew his stroke, and he just held him off. And it was really fascinating to watch, because even though Duncan is like the best 200 freestyler, one of the best 200 freestylers in the world, if you've got a competent stroke, good fitness and a good kick, it doesn't really matter at the end of a 200 medley because it's different energy systems. So really fascinating to see how that plays with the likes of Corby.
We've got the likes, we've got the likes of Jack Casson. He's kind of our multi-talent at the moment as well.
Yeah,
the 100 fly, the 4 IM, the 200 free, and now probably going to swim well on the 200 IM as well.
Because I'm looking at that Irish senior record. It is Brendan Hyland in a 201.5, but Brendan wasn't an IM guy. He was a good freestyler. He was a good fly swimmer. But he was okay at the back and breast. So, I think that record's dying out for somebody to come along and go sub 2 minutes. Could be Casson, but we're on the heat number 2 of this men's 200 metre medley.
Yeah, so just quickly running down through the list of names, we've got Pickett in 0, we've got Cormacan in lane 1, Griffin in lane number 2, we've got Logan in 3. Sean Bugler is our fastest qualifier of this heat. He takes lane number 4, the Sunday's well swimmer, in a 2:23.69. We've got Harvey in lane number 5, McCarthy in 6, Lanigan in 7, we've got Ryn in 8, and we've got our para swimmer Barry McClements taking lane number 9.
Yeah, it is Sean Bulger, 28.7. Out the first 50. That first 50 fly of this 200 medley will just take care of itself. You don't need to be putting in any effort. You're going to be excited enough. You just got to coast through, get your hand on the wall. But it's Bulger, and then the top of your screen is lane number 8, which is Ryn. Looking good. So, as India said, the breaststroke here will separate them. You'll see some swimmers coming up from behind the pack that have good breaststrokes. We saw that with Ellie McCartney last night, didn't we, on that women's 200 IM. She's such a good breaststroker, she was almost catching Ellen Walsh a wee bit on that. So
absolutely, it's about being efficient on that breaststroke leg as well, isn't it? Being able to gain that ground, but also not spin the arms, try and make sure that you're still holding onto that water. And then if you can actually have an efficient breaststroke and not use too much energy on that breaststroke leg, you'll be able to turn. And like you said, it's that fitness in the legs when it comes to that front crawl leg as well. So again, we do have Sean Bugler taking the lead, so he's doing very well in this 50 metre breaststroke. So like we said, being really efficient, diving forward on every single stroke. But we do have an outside swimmer there, lane number 8, really just holding onto his shoulders. But also lane number 1 is gaining some ground here on the breaststroke. So let's see what these 50 split times are for this 50 metre breaststroke. And it is Sean Bugler taking it at 43.19 as a split, but not too far behind Owen Ryn, 43.36 in that split. But Conor Lanigan of 7 going much faster in a 41.14.
Yeah, let's try and compare the rates here, folks. Which swimmer is taking more strokes? Bulger or Ryn, At the end of a race, it's so much almost sometimes about efficiency. It's about getting the rate up, but it's hard to tell from this angle. But it looks like I think it's going to be Bulger. Maybe. Ryn, Bulger, Ryn. It's Bulger. Yeah, 2:19.7, Ryn 2:19.9. Both of them dipping under that 2:20 mark. Bulger, I think, I honestly think he got that. He just went to that sort of straight arm stroke, didn't he, India? Those last sort of 5 metres, lengthened out and used the body just sort of to get himself into the wall. You'll notice that with some of the top swimmers doing that.
Yeah, we had, I think, both swimmers there, lane number 1 and Owen Ryn as well. The two of them kind of swapped that front crawl stroke, and I guess it is just trying to gain as much distance. So if they keep their stroke rate high, that kind of straight arm will allow them to keep the distance with their stroke as well. So it is a good way, I guess, to finish that 200. And we were speaking about it before, 200 definitely has turned into a little bit more of a sprint, so they need to be able to use those kind of power systems and change in stroke. Yeah, absolutely, towards the end of a race. Barry McClements, he was also in that race there. Unfortunately, his time didn't come up on the board, but Barry had a great individual swim last night as well. He had his time trial last night in the 100 metre back crawl. So nice to see Barry return to the pool this morning. So it'll be interesting to see what time he did there. Unfortunately, he just didn't come up onto the board. But we're moving on to heat number 3 of 5 now. So the first of our seeded heats. We've got Evan Bailey taking lane number 4. Again, he's having a good programme. He's quite a busy programme as well.
Yeah, he is. He is. I like Evan Bailey. I like his attitude, his talent. He's sort of a multi-talented swimmer. He dabs in freestyle, dabs in butterfly, dabs in medley. He's not quite sure what his best is, fly or free maybe, but from watching him, I watched him at 200 freestyle last night, and I said to him before the race, I said, Evan, you've got the speed. You need to be using that speed. You need to be getting out. You've got that nice stroke. So Evan could be a real good talent for the future. I think as he progresses and races more, he'll learn his body more. He'll learn how to race, a bit more efficiently. But he's having a great meet, PBs everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I was chatting to his coach, Fran Ronan, and she says that he definitely does enjoy the kind of Irish meets and stuff like that. He doesn't put as much pressure onto himself. He knows that he is, he's a strong swimmer and he's able to come out and he's able to enjoy these meets. But like you said, I think he does need to gain just that little bit more experience. I think when he went to the US Open, he felt a little bit more, I guess, intimidated, and that's when it kind of started to show in his races and stuff. So the more experience he can gain kind of at these international meets that he'll hopefully qualify for it as well, it would be nice to see Evan progress this summer too.
Definitely. That Chinese swimmer, I had to look it up, that beat Duncan was Wang Shun.
It's annoying you, was it?
It was annoying me. I'm pet peeve for that kind of thing.
I was surprised you didn't know the name, to be honest.
Do you know what? I was actually really disappointed I didn't know the name. And I didn't want to say it and get it wrong. But here we go. We're moving on to heat number 3. This will be the first of our... No, it won't be, of our seeded heats. Oh, no, it will. We've got 5 heats, sorry, excuse me. So interested to see what Bailey goes here. Haven't seen him do this event too much, but he's in on a 2.62, so he's competent enough in this event. So, but looking to be, all these swimmers will be looking to get right down towards that 2-minute mark. Nobody in Ireland even gone 2 minutes, never mind 1:59. So, it's definitely an event that's crying out for somebody to take control of it.
Absolutely, like you said, we've got quite a few swimmers in this event. They'll probably be looking to get down to that 2-minute mark. But just running down through the list of names of heat number 3, we have got French taking lane 0. We've got Fane in lane 1. Byrne takes lane 2. Kilcoyne in lane 3. Again, Evan Bailey. Lane number 4, fastest qualifier in a 2:06.26. We've got Reid in lane number 5. Angus Cook takes 6. Newman in 7. Lorenz in 8. And Garvey in lane number 9. But it looks like Evan Bailey taking it out strong in this first 50, David.
Yeah, he has a fantastic butterfly stroke, folks. He honestly, that is...
He eats up the water, doesn't he?
Yeah, really impressive. I said he was a freestyler, but my word, that fly is unbelievable. So long, so powerful, so looks effortless. You know, when you ever look at a great sportsman doing what they do best, whether it's a good swimmer, Michael Phelps, Tiger Woods, Roger Federer, whoever it might be, they make it look effortless. So there's Evan Bailey coming in. He's absolutely switching off a wee bit here, I think, after that. After that first 50 fly, yeah, he's on a 102. That's a 35 split. Bailey taking it nice and easy, just goes through. Sort of that high breaststroke, India. What do you think here is coming up? His hands don't really come back at all. He's keeping his elbows very high forward.
Yeah, he's a very high stroke there in breaststroke. So like we spoke about before, the higher you come up on breaststroke, the more resistance you're obviously going to hit with that water, because all that water is going to hit into your chest. But Evan is a strong swimmer, and like you said, I think he is just slightly easing off here on this 200 IM. So maybe he's just really trying to gain as much ground as he can, or scoop as much water as he possibly can, just trying to make it as efficient as possible so he can turn and really relax into this final swim.
Yeah, he's just going through the motions. He's kind of got that bigger underwater kick, doesn't he? Really good, went to like 12 meters there. So he's kind of going for this freestyle. So I think his tactics were this. I think he would lay down the 50 fly at the pace he wants to go tonight, switch off on the back and breast, and then switch it back on the freestyle to practice that turn of pace. Really, can be really good to do that kind of thing, but that's exactly what he's done. Still goes sub 210, so he's got a 204, 203 in him later, I think, with a race. Definitely, because that backstroke he completely switched off, didn't he?
Absolutely. I think exactly like you said, David, I think he was trying to just more focus on his pacing in this heat swim, so knowing exactly what he can do on that first 50 fly, slightly switching off on that middle 100 and seeing what he can come home on. But basically all he was looking to do there was just give himself a good lane for this final swim. So 209.40, we've got the likes of Jack Cassin, Liam Custer, Owen Corby, so it should be an interesting kind of middle 4 to 5 lanes in this evening's swim. So good swim there from Evan, again just cruising through. But we've got Jack Cassin as our fastest qualifier here. Again, we've spoken about him before, had a strong 400 IM, breaking the Irish junior record from Killian Melly, so I'm interested to see how he can go this 200 IM as well.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting, because the mix you have here, you're going to have Bailey, who's more of a freestyle fly guy, probably 100, 200 sort of maybe guy. Then you've got Jack Cassin, who's a 400 IM, Irish senior record holder, a lot of distance, hard work behind him, but he's also the 100 fly Irish junior record holder, so he's got a bit of speed. And then you've got Corby, who's, he's phenomenal breaststroker, but is really competent at the other 4 strokes. So it's going to be other 3 strokes. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that race pans out tonight. barring that any of these sort of better, faster qualifiers don't get DQ'd. You know, because all the different kind of like strengths of each of them, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Absolutely. We've had some big names actually being disqualified in this event this weekend. We've had the likes of Molly Main, we've had Ellen Walsh, both being disqualified from that individual medley. So even with all that experience, it's still down to those technical things that you do have to make sure that you get them right if you want to have that final swim. So no one's clear of those kind of technical faults.
No one's safe.
No one's safe.
From the eyes of the judges. They are watching like hawks. We have heat number 4 now. See what Casson does here. He always gives it a few claps when he stands on the block. Have you noticed that, India?
I have. It's like it's his way to pep himself up.
Yeah, or psych everyone else out.
There are quite a few psych tactics. You see the likes of Mona McSherry. She likes to kick the block really hard at the start of her race. I actually used to do that, to be honest.
Did
when
you?
I used to race, yeah. But yeah, there definitely are a few psych tactics here. But again, just quickly running down through the list of names here. Heat number 4, we've got Rusk in 0. We've got Saturday Nagy in lane number 1. We've got Allison in 2. We have a clear lane in lane number 3. Jack Casson takes 4. Custer takes 5. Morgan in 6. Keogh in 7. Horgan in 8. And Cowgill in lane number 9.
6.5 is nice on the way out. 26.52. Good fly swimmer, but he's a premium medley swimmer. So I'm very intrigued to see what Jack Casson can go on this 2 medley, because he has the speed from the 100 fly. We know that. He's got speed, albeit more of a back half focused 100 fly Irish junior record. Then he also has the fitness, as sort of illustrated by that 400 medley. So, I mean, he's entered on a 2:04.7, so I can see him getting right down around 2:02 mark, you know, tonight anyway. Closely followed by Custer, so more the distance focused 800 freestyle kind of guy.
Yeah, so Jack Casson doing well, so turning about 2 seconds faster than Evan Bailey split in the previous heat, so he's just turned there on a 60.28. His breaststroke is looking strong as well, so he's really, I think he might be going for something here, David, so he's looking really, really well. Again, his entry time of a 2:04, he'll be looking to have a good breaststroke leg so he can come back strong in this 50 metres, but let's have a quick look at that split. Again, final 2 strokes, make sure he hits the wall dead on, just a little bit of a half stroke there, so it's 37, a little bit high there for that 50 breaststroke leg.
He lost a bit of time there just on that turn, kind of got caught between strokes that absorbs your momentum into the wall, as India will know from her years of butterfly racing. But here we go. Jack Casson cruising now through this. He'll just be wanting to get into the wall, save it for tonight. You know, real mix. Look how far ahead he is of some of the rest of the field. He's going to come in a sub 2:10, 6, 7, yeah, 2:08, 59 for Casson. That's about 4 seconds over his best, so a lot more to come there. So
I think he might have used similar tactics there, kind of see what he can go out on that 50 fly. You know, it looked like a strong 50 fly going out at a 26.5, but back row looked strong as well, looked comfortable, but then he definitely did.
I know that's what a lot of 200 guys will do, and women in the heats. You know, if they know they're going to get back, they'll kind of do the first 75 or 50, you know, at the right rate, and then just kind of shut it off. Because when you come to the race tonight, and you know there's more pressure, and it's a final, you know, you want that first 50 to take care of itself, because you're, you know, behind the block, you're not thinking about the last 50 when you're stood behind the block, are you? You're thinking about literally the first 50. So if you can make that as autopilot as possible, and you know, well, I know for me anyway, when I raced 100 freestyle, that first 35 I had to just not even think, had to just happen. So that's what they'll be doing, drilling that into them, drilling that first 50 rate, that first 50 pace. So
absolutely, and like we said, this is day 5 of a 5-day meet, so these swimmers are probably going to want to conserve as much energy as they possibly can. So if they know that they have that final swim this evening and they have to race and they have to compete against, you know, these big names and stuff, they're really going to focus on kind of their recovery, conserving as much energy as possible. But we're moving on to heat number 5. This is our fastest heat of the men's 200 metre IM. So we've got our fastest qualifier, Owen Corby. Again, a good race from him in that 200 metre breaststroke last night. So I'd say he's just going to be probably trying to find that final swim as well today. I don't think he's swimming in any other events today, is he, David?
No, I don't think so. I think this is him for the meet. So looking to finish on a high, even though he's not there.
Oh, he's not swimming
right, so there must be some sort of time trial going on later for him. So it'll be interesting to see who takes this one then, with no Corby. I would imagine it would be, McCarthy, the National Centre Limerick swimmer. So the world record in this event is a 1:54.00 set by Ryan Lochte. 2011 World Championships. So that's a long world record, but I think that's going to go this summer by Leon Marchand, the French swimmer, who actually swims with Michael Phelps, his old coach.
Leon Marchand?
Yeah, Bob Bowman. So the person who's going to break Michael Phelps' world record, who I think anyway, is going to be coached by Michael Phelps' coach. So yeah, but it is McCarthy, like I said. And he's going to coast through this.
Yeah, Caden had a strong 400 metre IM as well, so we know that he is a strong IM swimmer. Going out in a 27.59 there for his first 50 split, so slower than the previous two heats, but we know the likes of Jack Casson and Evan Bailey have that very strong first 50 fly, but he's looking smooth, he's looking controlled coming into this first 100. And again, 101.62, solid enough start there for the first 100. Again, he's going to be looking to take one of the centre lanes, so again, our fastest qualifier so far is Jack Casson, then Evan Bailey, so I'm sure Caden McCarthy is going to be looking to swim beside those two lads tonight.
Absolutely. Just going to look to book his place. Great shot there we have of our camera team. They're doing a fantastic job here at this Irish Open Swimming Championships. Bringing you really good premium footage of all the swims. But it is McCarthy coming in. Let's keep an eye on the clock. A 1:38.2, a 36.5 breaststroke split. Not bad. He'll want to be a bit quicker than that tonight, but he'll just coast here. A kind of loping long stroke, really bent elbow. Can hardly see his mouth when he breathes. Keeping that head low. He could tuck our chin in a wee bit more, but
yeah, he's definitely dominating the field here. I think he knows that he's well ahead of the pack. Could a little bit more of a kick down on this last 10 metres, but he's coming in, I'd say, just below that 2:10 mark as well. And he does in a 2:09.70. So yes, he will be our third fastest qualifier in tonight's final.
Good swim, Caden. Just the majority of these guys a good bit above their best. Just they know they can make it easy to the final, so might as well just rest. It's been a long 4 days. That's confirmation of results of the final heat of the men's 200 metres individual medley. And we have Casson, who's first in, quickly followed by Bailey, McCarthy, and then Kilcoyne.
Yeah, I'm sure all those lads.
Tonight.
Yeah, all those lads will be looking to get down right near that Irish senior record again at 2:01.52, set by Brendan Hyland back in 2019. So I'm sure Brendan might be watching this live stream as well to see if another one of his records.
Australia, Brendan, if you're watching.
See if another one of his records is going to be broken, because we had Jack Gasson take that 10-year-old record in the junior record in that 100-metre fly earlier on in the week. But we have a change of event now. We've got the women's 200-metre breaststroke. We've got 5 heats of this event, and we've got Mona McSharry going in that final heat in lane number 4. So we've already seen a superb Irish senior record from her in the 100-metre breaststroke, bringing it down to a 66.0. So
yeah, and the 50 as well. India, I was just saying, she got the Irish senior record in the 50, so if she can do the three-peat of Irish senior records, that'll be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. We know she's on form, and again, she's just looking absolutely fantastic when it comes to her breaststroke at the moment. You can see her, we spoke about it before, her kind of gliding on the top of the water. But we're just going to move on to heat number 1 here. We'll quickly run down through the list of names. I think we have one swimmer missing. And we do. So we just have lane 3, 4 and 5 in this first heat. So we've got Erin Fogarty taking lane number 3. We've got Grace Quinn, our fastest qualifier in this first heat, in a 3:01.36. And we've got Gracie McNeil taking lane number 5. So all of these girls just above that 3-minute mark for the 200-metre breaststroke. So I'm sure all 3 girls are going to be looking to break that 3-minute barrier for the first time. So what kind of times are they going to be looking for on the first 100 here, David, if they're going to look to break that 3-minute barrier?
Yeah, they need to be in the 120s, definitely. Maybe the 120, low 120s, 124 maybe, 125 would be a good way to kind of set it up. The closer you go up to that 130 mark, the harder it's going to be to come back. But a lot of these girls will have great back ends. You know, it's really synonymous with young swimmers. They do a lot of work, a lot of meters, don't they, India? So their back ends are usually quite strong, and it's only as you get a bit older and a bit stronger that your front end develops.
Absolutely, and we were chatting to Nick Quinn last night about the 200 metre breaststroke, and it is about like pacing your 200 metres well. So we've spoken about it before about being efficient in kind of that first 100 and then picking up the stroke rate in the second 100 but not turning it into a spinning stroke. So a lot of these girls are really going to have to make sure that the pressure isn't getting to them here. So I know they're going to turn into the second 100. They've been probably told by their coach to start picking up that stroke rate, but they need to stay calm and relaxed to make sure that they're still grasping the water as well.
Yeah, and it's important to just maintain that kick, isn't it? Especially in this third 50. Just keeping that kick strong and powerful. I'm not trying to just switch off in this third 50, because when you get to here, you've done 100 metres, so you're feeling the fatigue, and then now your mind, even though you're on the third 50, your mind is thinking now about the final 50, the back of your head. So you need to keep pushing, and just take it 150 at a time. Keep building.
Absolutely.
But in the lead here, it looks like lane number 4. Grace Quinn.
Yeah, I remember swimming a 200 breaststroke as a youth, and I used to always have to try and convince myself in the third 50 that I wasn't tired. So you'd be swimming down the third 50 and be like, you're not tired, you're not tired. So I'm sure these girls may be starting to feel that lactic acid kind of kick in, bring into those legs now, because again, we've spoken about that leg drive from behind. You know, they really do need to start bringing it in here in this third 50, but it might be lane number 3 just slightly taking the lead. She's picked up her stroke rate well here. Grace Quinn just taking that touch, 2:15.99, but just 2/100ths of a second behind her is Erin Fogarty, and it looks like she's taken the lead here on this final 50. So good swim, good pacing there from lane number 3 too.
Yeah, just like India was mentioned earlier there, she was talking about up in the rate but not slipping the water. So it's about that happy medium, up in the rate, you know, putting in more effort but hanging onto that water. Very easy to slip on breaststroke. So is Erin Fogarty taking control of this one. Last 50, she's like dynamite here, coming home. She gonna get under that 3-minute mark? I don't think she is. She's gonna be just off it.
Yeah, she pulled away from the field there well, but I think if she has that much of a drive on that second 100, maybe she just needs to push that first 100 a little bit faster. So she comes in a 3:03.20. So like you said, David, earlier on, they kind of split that first 100 in around a 1:26, 1:27. But lane number 3 there, Erin Fogarty, definitely had a lot in her there in that second 100. So maybe she needs to focus kind of on that first half of her race and try and take it out a little bit harder and then really pull back a little bit faster.
And again, it's just race experience. You know, these girls are all young. You know, it's very easy for us to sit here and say that. We've done it our whole lives. We know so much about it, but these girls don't know anything about that. Even if the coaches are telling them that, you know, they're so young, and the whole occasion's so crazy for them, the amount of people and the big arena. So just getting in and swimming that will have taught them so much.
Absolutely. It's about them feeling their race as well, isn't it? You know, we can tell them as much as we want, but they need to actually be able to get in and feel it and experience that kind of race as well, and, you know, feeling that kind of burn when it comes towards the end of a race. So really, really good, strong start from those swimmers there. Again, just 13 years of age, our youngest swimmer there. But we move on to heat number 2. We've got Fiona Henderson taking the middle lane, lane number 4. She is our Allianz swimmer. She's in a 2:54.06. So majority of these girls breaking that 3-minute barrier, just a few on the outside lanes that are probably going to be looking to break it. So again, probably looking for a 1:24, 1:25 start here on that first 100.
Yeah, a bit of a step up in time now in heat number 2. Just the 5 heats here of this women's 200 metre breaststroke. She had that fantastic race last night for the men. Wasn't the result those boys wanted, but for the neutral, it was absolutely thrilling to watch.
Absolutely, probably one of the best, I guess, races of the evening, wasn't it? So
Definitely
I know probably not the times that the boys were looking for, but it had the whole pool on their feet cheering the 3 boys in.
Brilliant. But here we go. Heat number 2, women's 200 metre breaststroke.
Yeah, so just quickly running down through the list of names as I turn on that first 50. We've got Sarah Cooney-Ryan in 0, we've got Winterback in 1, Coleman in 2, Warthall in 3, we've got Henderson in 4, we've got McDade in lane number 5, Dunlop takes 6, Allende takes 7, Murphy in 8, and Burns Atkin takes lane number 9. So first turn there is from Anna McDade, 38.52, pretty much 38 across the entire field. So we'll start to see who's going to take the lead down this first 100 now.
Yeah, just sort of a tough one. Breaststroke, one of those strokes you can really tell the different techniques between people, especially these young swimmers where their techniques are still developing. If you look at lane number 6, Ellie Dunlop, a lot more of a lower kind of head position than her teammate Anna McDade. You know, so all different kind of strokes, but it looks like it might be is that the Trojan swimmer in lane number 7? Yeah, it is McDade, sorry.
Yeah, McDade just taking the turn there, but Allende just on her shoulders as well. So it is going to be a battle of this second 100. I think we do have our two clear leaders, but again, it all can change on this 200-meter breaststroke. Everyone knows that each of these swimmers has individual tactics, and we do have a couple of strong swims, especially from lane number 3, also gaining some ground here. But strong battle between lane 5 and lane 7 to take this second heat.
Yeah, they've separated themselves from the rest of the field, so they're entered in an entry time of 2:59, 2:55, so they'll be looking to get right down there, but they're going to have a strong back 50. Yeah, they should do it, if they sneak into the 43 splits maybe. That'll be a really nice swim for the two of these girls, so.
Absolutely. So Allende just taking the touch there on that third 50. So we had lane number 5 leading up into that 100 mark, but Allende looks like she might just be powering through on this last 25, and she's really started to pick up that stroke right now, still grabbing the water well. So it really just is focusing on getting those hands on the wall perfectly on these last 12 and a half.
She's taken the race by the scruff of the neck. And she's going to be in here in maybe a 2:52, 2:53 kind of time. Yeah, good swim.
6-second PB there from Allende.
Yeah, she's smiling there. Good work. McDade, 2:55 for her. That's right around her best, just off. So good job, girls. That's good going. 200 breast isn't easy, especially on day 5.
Did you swim many 200 breaststrokes yourself, David?
No.
Never?
You would not want to see me swim breaststroke. Trust me.
It's actually probably one of the strokes or one of the races that I found burned my lungs the most, to be honest, the 200 breaststroke. Yeah, absolutely.
You are holding your breath for a considerable amount of time, especially short course.
Absolutely.
No, breaststroke I was not. I was kind of rubbish at every stroke apart from freestyle.
Actually, reading a lot of kind of papers when it comes to swimmers' fitness. 200-meter breaststrokers actually seem to be some of the fittest swimmers that were out there, but due to down to lung capacity as well.
Wow,
they were kind of they were compared to cross-country skiers, who are some of the fittest individuals in the world. So yeah, it was interesting.
200
breaststroke swimmers were compared to cross-country skiers
wow.
due to lung capacity. Yeah. So
what about 50 freestylers?
They're just a league of their own, David. Yeah,
they always
absolutely.
get forgotten about.
Got your 50 freestyle coming up soon enough after this event, but we're going to move on to heat number 3. So we've got the first of our seeded heats. We've got Niamh Coyne taking lane number 4. She's had a good meet as well so far, so she is the National Centre Dublin swimmer. Originally from Tala, she is going to go in the fastest lane is a 2:29.76.
Liking her stroke at the minute. I'm not new coach anymore, so it's better. I've been coaching her for a while, but I think she's really settled into her stroke. Looks a lot more relaxed than I remember her maybe seeing in the past. So real confidence you take from that. So sometimes you got to forget about times and not even worry about times and just eyeball the stroke and go, you know what, you look better, you're looking more confident, you're looking more pop in your stroke in the water, and sometimes that's a win. It's not always about time, but swimming's so dominated by time, isn't it? Because it's our only metric of if we're getting faster or slower. So there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Oh no, there absolutely is, and we've spoken about it before. Some of these races, some of these individuals are going to use it as experience to try something new in regards to their stroke. But at the end of the day, when you kind of finish your race, your first thing to do is look up at the clock, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, you can't control how other people are going to swim. So your main competitor is the clock. So it is very time focused. I'm sure these girls that are looking to try something out new are still going to want to swim fast. But let's have a look and see how Niamh takes her 200 breaststroke here today. Yeah, just like you said, it is so time focused, and try and get away from that. I remember an exercise they did with all of us when I was at Loughborough University. You would swim your race, finish your race, not look at the scoreboard, get out straight out of the pool, straight into the swim down pool. So you'd be 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes without knowing your time. You then go up to your coach and you talk about what you felt like you went. Okay. And then only then would the coach tell you went this time. And so it was basically how to get your body in tune with the feel of the stroke as opposed to just be constantly dominated by time. So it's a really good exercise to do, but really, really frustrating because as soon as you finish your race, you just want to look at the time. So it was a real different aspect to it. So It sounds like a fantastic exercise, but I don't think I'll be able to do it.
I know, it's like torture.
First instinct is like get your goggles off and look straight up at that clock to see what you've done.
Next twitching to look.
Absolutely, but we've got Niamh definitely dominating the field in this first 100 of this 200 meter breaststroke, only taking 15 strokes on that first 50, which is absolutely incredible swimming. So really, she is like eating up that water on every single stroke, and she still seems to be holding that pace as well coming into that first 100.
Yeah, she's down to 1:12.8. Entry time of 2:29.7, so she'll be right around that, maybe slightly slower. But see, I was talking about folks about that nice glide on the stroke. On breaststroke, the glide is the only point where you're fully streamlined. If you were to freeze frame it as Niamh's head was at the highest position there, and then look underwater, it would be the most. Her legs would be out, her arms are out, her body's up. There's so much drag. But then when you're streamlined like that, that's when you're most efficient. So you need to really maintain that length of stroke. But she's going to come in here on a 1:52.46. It was a 39.6 split. So good heat swim from her, just feeling this 200 breaststroke.
Yeah, and you use the perfect word there. It is efficient, her stroke. So she is really swimming well here. She hasn't really picked up the stroke rate here coming down this last 50, so she might be saving a little bit of energy for this final swim. But she's looking well. She's still staying on top of the water. And like we've said before, we can see that hip drive. So her hips are staying quite close to the surface of the water. There goes that stroke rate, just picking it up slightly towards the last 12.5 here. Again, her entry time is a 2:29.76. Looks like she's going to be going slightly above that, but putting herself into a good position for tonight's swim.
Just watching the clock, 2:32.8 for Niamh. Very comfortable swim from her, the National Centre Dublin swimmer. Emer Doyle coming in second there, the second fastest qualifier for this heat in a 2:49.2. The rest of the field are beginning to round up now, so always tricky at big meets, isn't it, going first? Not so much in this meet because Niamh would know she'll qualify, but at the World Championships or the Olympics, being the first one to go in the seeded heat, you've got to go for it because you don't know what everyone's going to do after you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's what some of these girls really do need to train as well. I know we've spoken about before, swimmers taking it a little bit easier in their heat swim, so they can save some energy for the final. But a lot of these swimmers as well, they need to learn how to go their top speed in a heat swim, because when they go to these kind of summer international events, they're not guaranteed a final swim, so they need to be able to actually train their body to perform in the morning swims as well.
Yeah, and that's really been, it used to be a problem, didn't it, back in the day with Irish athletes. Not so much now, I don't think, but yes, definitely real. When you go to that meet in the morning and there's everybody there, you've got to be on it in the morning. You've got to be used to that. So absolutely. I don't see why you wouldn't practice it.
No, and I was speaking to Nick Quinn there the other day when we were doing the commentary, and even the likes of you're heading over to Japan, say, for the World Championships, and there's a time zone difference, and sometimes Nick, when he went to these kind of internationals, he might not actually sleep very well as well. So it's a case of being able to adjust your body to whatever time zone you're in, and also maybe a lack of sleep, and just still being able to perform in that morning swim as well. So a lot of these athletes are going to need to be able to train their body to do that. Yeah,
absolutely. That time difference is so much goes into play when you go abroad like that for a meet. Different changing food, changing sleep pattern, changing so much, and you're still expected to perform. So it just shows you. What's heat number 4 here? Penultimate heat of this women's 200 meter breaststroke.
Yeah, so just quickly running down through the list of names. We've got O'Shea taking lane 0. We've got McMaster in 1. Jones takes lanes number 2. We've got Connery in 3. We've got Molly Main, our fastest qualifier into this heat, the 18-year-old from Templeogue. Her entry time of a 2:29.40. She takes lane number 4. We've got Cook taking lane 5. Jones in 6. O'Brien in 7. Dunn in lane number 8. And Burns in lane number 9. Looks like a strong start there from lane number 2, but Molly staying very efficient with that stroke.
Yeah, she is, definitely. This is a bit of a tighter race in the last one. Coyne kind of just took control early doors and never looked back, but you'd be expecting Main to sort of show her class through the race. She's lost her hat though. That's a turnout for the books.
Oh, that's definitely going to put her off
disaster.
In this heat swim.
Molly, what are you made of now? No hat.
Not the best starting. To be honest, looking at her competitor to her right, I'm really liking Olwen Cook's stroke style. She's really efficient in that stroke, and look how high her hips come on every single kick.
Hips coming right out. That's awesome swimming here. So she's out of 1:14.66. Molly Main following her in a 1:16.1. So I think it will be Cook just kind of taking control. Molly Main getting her hair washed here. Not that she wanted it.
Yeah, I know we've spoken about that experience before, but even the likes of Molly Main to lose her hat in a race, you know, it can happen to anyone.
That ever happened to you?
Losing my hat?
Yeah.
No, it's never happened to me losing my hat. You definitely like goggles filling up with water and stuff like that. And we've seen the likes of, I think that was back in 2008, the likes of, do you remember Melanie Knocker, you know, one of our Olympic swimmers, and her goggles filling up in one of her main races.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how much experience I have, it can still happen to the best of us.
Michael Phelps in Beijing, 300 metre butterfly. Dove in. He was going for the 8 golds, most golds in any Olympic Games, and he did achieve it. Dove in, goggles filled up straight away with water. He was expected to win by a mile, and he just was like not really winning. And then he did win and broke a world record, but it was only at the end he chucked his goggles off. Like as soon as he finishes, he throws his goggles away, like way over the pool deck, and they filled up with water. So he swam the whole race blind.
I'm sure he never wore those goggles again, to be honest.
No, he didn't.
But anyway, we're coming into the final 12 metres of this heat number 4, and it is Olwen Cook taking a really strong lead from the start and finishing strong as well. So her finish time here is going to be a 2:33.21. Her entry time of a 2:32, just slightly above. And then that's going to be a bit of a disappointing heat swim there from Molly Main. So again, she's probably going to have to look at changing over that hat for the final swim this evening if she gets a good lane.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You know, at least it didn't happen in the final. But Cook looking really nice, like India said, hips nice and high out of the water, which is good. But then there's obviously the premium swimmer, Mona McSharry, coming up next. She has an Irish senior record from 2021 of 2:25.0. I assume that's from the Olympic Games, 24th of the 7th, 2021, must be. 2:25.0, so she's on better form than she was at that Olympics, better form at this meet, so I don't see any reason why she can't get right down to 2:23 even maybe, so she'll swim this strong, I think, this morning. Like, she hasn't done any heat swim that's been really slow, has she?
No, she hasn't. She's definitely performed in her heat swim. So, you know, we've kind of seen her just maybe slightly above those Irish senior records in the heat swims, but then absolutely smashing them in the final swim. So, be interesting to see if she does take it out strong. I think it's her only event today's the 200 metre breaststroke, so she can really focus on it now. And like you said, she's already taken the Irish senior in the 50, she's taken the Irish senior in the 100. So, let's make it a triple score this weekend of taking the 200 as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against her. Ali McCartney there as well. She's having a good meet. National Centre Ulster swimmer. Great 200 medley last night. Even though she's mainly seen as a breaststroker, I think her potential is in that 200 medley. So we'll see what these swimmers go here. Watch the power of McSharry. She'll look at that nice long glide. Look at how much the power she gets from each kick. Just gliding through the water, but McCartney's just going with her at the top. I don't think these girls will take it too easy. I think they'll just kind of swim off the energy of the morning.
Yeah, no, they're swimming off each other here. So again, we've got Mona McSharry just taking that centre lane, so going down the pool in about 14 strokes there. So again, showing the efficiency of her stroke, so really grasping the water. And again, I don't think that would have taken too much out of her there, going out in a 34.26. So I'd say she's really just going to focus on staying efficient, making sure that she's pulling nice and strong under the water, and I'm sure we'll see a little bit faster stroke rate kind of coming into this final swim this evening. So slightly pulling away from Ellie McCartney there to her right hand side, as you can see on screen. But again, Mona knows that she's dominating this field, so I'm sure she just needs to go through the motions for this morning. Yeah,
just sort of showing the dominance. It's two different kind of strokes there. Mona staying a lot lower. McCartney going a bit higher, but McCartney's worked really hard on that. She used to come up a bit too high for my liking. Now she's staying a bit lower, a bit less drag. But here we come, it is McSharry, he chucks those hands right forward. You can almost see them come right out of the water under her chin and then through.
Yeah, it's as if she like claps her hands underneath her chin before shooting them forward. They come really, really close. But again, like you said, she actually stays really nice and close to the water. So there's only a very small gap between kind of her chin and where her hands are, kind of just at the surface of the water. So you can see that efficiency of her stroke as well. So she's coming down this third 50 nicely. So let's just see what that split time is here for this 50. And she turns in a 37.67. So still staying strong with that stroke rate as well. Yeah,
it's the power she gets from her kick. You know, it's that real, keeping her hips really nice and high out of the water. You know, using every leg muscle to whip and glide. That's a great shot there of her. Tennessee swimmer.
Yeah, we know
pulling away from McCartney comfortably now. So, I mean, she's going to be right around, just off, maybe a 2:27 or something like that, 2:28. Yeah, she's just going to be slightly out. Yeah, it's 2:27.1. That's a good swim. I love that about Mona. She never takes it really easy. She just sets up the stroke in the morning, maybe like, what, 90% into you?
Yeah.
And then just is primed for tonight. So she's never actually swimming a race super, super slow.
No, definitely not. I think she definitely uses the heat swims well. I think she knows exactly that she needs to maybe just go slightly slower than each of those 50 paces. So she's probably pulling back around 5-7% in that kind of heat swim, but also proving to herself that she is on form and that she can really hit down on this evening swim. So I know there will be a lot of pressure on her tonight to go in for that 200 and try and get the Irish senior.
There will be, yeah. I think she will do it, you know. I mean, that looked really, really... She looked like she didn't really begin to go there until, what, maybe 125 metres? She was coasting the first 100, it looked like, anyway, from her rate. But I like that about her. Sometimes, like, she never's teaching her body to go super slow, ever. She's always just... Sometimes if you even, you know, do a heat really, really slowly, sometimes, you know, what you're teaching, you're sort of subconsciously telling your body that in a race, it can go slow.
Absolutely, and her split times there were kind of around 34, 36, 36, and then bringing it home. So yeah, no, I definitely feel like she can improve on those 50s. And if she's already swimming a heat swim at 2:27.10, that Irish senior record sits at 2:25. So bringing it just down by half a second per 50, she'll be doing really, really well this evening. So we do have a change of event. David, it is your favourite event of the weekend. It's the men's 50 metre freestyle. Again, we've already had Fannin and we've had Bain go for those kind of 50 metres. Within the 100 metre freestyle, we saw a really, really fast swim from Fannin. So it'd be nice to see him produce a same swim in this 50 metre freestyle as well.
Yeah, can't believe they made me wait until day 5 for the 53. But it's here now. Yeah, really, really interesting event this. So much about technical ability, you know, physical prowess. You know, all these swimmers are the fastest swimmers in Ireland. They're the fastest swimmers through water. It's coming up that Irish senior record at 22.14, that iconic Irish senior record of Barry Murphy from 2009. But as we know, unless you've been living under a rock, Tom Fannin took that away with a 21.95 earlier in the week. So interesting to see what he goes this morning. But heat 1. It's all about just the underwater kick, not as important on a 53 unless you're extremely fast at it. It's about getting under, getting good entry, exploding off the first few strokes and then just going.
Yeah, so we do have in lane 0, we've got Barry McClemens. He's going strong as well. He's got a busy schedule. I really like that straight arm there. But looks like we're going to have maybe lane number 4 taking it. Ooh. And it's actually lane number 3, Luca Power, in a 25.74. So his entry time was a 26.35. So nice for him to break that 26-second barrier, bring it down to a 25.
Yeah, and half a second like that, 0.6, 0.7 on a 53 is a lot of time. So, you know, it's really, really good swimming there from Luca Power out of the block. So we'll fly through these heats here of this 50 freestyle. Obviously the two main people we're looking out for are indeed Tom Fannin and Callum Bain. Both of them swimming in the race in different ways. Callum Bain leads out from the start, really strong start. Fannin not as good a start, but finishes extremely well. So a great battle between them.
It's interesting to have such a difference in a 50, isn't it? To have one person that can take it out a little bit faster and one person that can finish faster. Because at the end of the day, it's only 50 metres. So, you know, having a
you wouldn't think there's much to it, but
no, absolutely not.
I'm happy I'm not racing them. Okay, heat number 2. These swimmers be primed and ready for this now. A lot of slapping going on behind the blocks, adrenaline high.
Yeah, like you said, David, it is one event that you probably hear loads of slapping, banging of the chest. It really is about just getting yourself pumped up for a 50 metres. Again, that's splash and dash and just making sure you're prepped and primed, ready for this race. But strong start there from lane number 7. He's taking it out strong, but again, this could be anyone's field. It's only a 50-metre splash and dash, and it does look like it could be between lane number 6 and lane number 4 for this second heat. So let's see who gets the hand to the wall first.
It's the ESB swimmer, yeah, Michael Curley at 25.26. He had a great start there. He just carried that momentum through to about 35 metres. It's that last 15. You know, your ATP system drops. You need to hold that rate. You need to hold that technique. Very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, absolutely. 25.26, a great swim there from Michael Curley. Again, nearly a full second PB for the ESB swimmer. So 18 years of age, definitely gaining that little bit more strength.
That's your club, India, isn't it?
That's my club, yeah. So watching Michael kind of come through, he's definitely gaining a lot more strength now when it comes to these sprint events. So nice to see it actually transfer over to the pool as well. So that is heat number 2 of 7. We are moving on to heat number 3. We've got a drop in time again. So majority of these swimmers are going to be swimming at 25. And again, what's the biggest barrier you found in that 50-metre freestyle to break? When you're coming up through as a young swimmer.
A young swimmer, yeah. Probably going, I'd say 25 or 24. As a young swimmer, I can't really remember, but maybe I think once you go 25, 26, you know, as a young swimmer,
you know you're part of that field.
You're kind of getting there. 24, yeah. I suppose. I remember when I went 24.9 for the first time. I was quite young, and that was kind of a big deal. But real close here, can't split them, so it's all going to be about who slows down the least. Even though it looks like swimmers speed up at the end, the ones that win, these swimmers are all decelerating the entire time. So it's all about who slows down the least. Lane number 8's looking kind of nice. Charlie Cassidy, he's gone the straight arm stroke, needs poor finish, he's not going to get it. Yeah, knew it. Mason, 25.1. Just saw lane number 8 had that, Charlie Cassidy, but he just sort of, like I was talking about, that rate just slowed down in those last few metres. You could just see it from a mile off. He wasn't going to get his hand on the wall. So all about those fine margins.
Absolutely, but strong swim there from Christopher again, 25.18. That is over half a second PB over a 50. So he'll be looking, I'm sure, to break the 25-second barrier soon, bring it down to a 24. So that is heat number 3. Again, we only have, I think it's only 2 heats, is it? 2 finals of the men's 50, or do we still have 3
There might be
finals?
3 because
3
it's
finals,
an Olympic event.
Yeah, so they're still looking, all of these swimmers, to make one of the final swims this evening. Again, 50-metre freestyle. We move on to heat number 4. We've got Cormac Rinn taking lane number 4. Trident swimmer, again, entry time of a 25.25, so pretty much just 0.4 of a second separating this heat number 4. So again, it's just about who can get their hand to the wall first.
Yeah, no mistakes allowed in the 53. That's what fascinated me. I never got as fast as I wanted to. No, I made plenty of mistakes every single time. That's how hard it is. Yeah. You know, but you can't make any mistakes. You can't. There's always something you finish and you go, I just could have done this, I could have done that. And because it happens so fast, unless it's trained, you know, constantly, you're prone to making mistakes. So
absolutely.
But here we go, a few empty lanes. Don't know why they'd missed the 53. But here we go, reaction's so important as well. Not only underwater kick, but a reaction.
I think a little bit too long under the water there for our fastest qualifier, Cormac Rinn. I think he took maybe 1 or 2 kicks just a little bit too long under the water. So our outside lanes are just slightly taking the lead. He has got a fast back end though here. So lane number 4, I can't call it. Maybe lane number 2. Let's see who gets their hand to the wall first.
Yeah, it's O'Connor. Liam O'Connor, 25.0. He's more of a breaststroke man. But he's given the 53 a wee dab. Love to see it. 25.0 for him. That'll probably be a PB, is it?
Again, just 1/100th of a second separating the top 2 there. So Cormac Rinn in lane number 4, our fast qualifier, 25.05, but it was Liam O'Connor taking it in a 25.04. And like
1/100th as well, the third there too, see that?
Oh,
and then 2 100ths, the fourth. So like, there you go. It's all about getting your hand on the wall and the ability to be able to do that. That is a real skill in itself, to be able to do that. I'm sure there's swimmers you swam against India that had a knack of doing that. I know when I swam against Curtis Coulter, the current Orange coach, up through the years, my whole life, he always had this knack of just getting his hand on the wall ahead of you.
Absolutely, yeah. You have certain competitors. I was actually chatting to Heatley about it before, and he was saying, you know, would you be annoyed at other swimmers beating you just to the wall? And sometimes, yeah, you would. But I guess when they are your teammates as well, you'd also be wishing them well. But we're moving on to heat number 5. This is the first of our seeded heats. We've got Dermot Sutton taking lane number 4 in a 22.97. So big increase in speed here now.
Yeah, I like Sutton. I think he's got real twitch about his stroke. He just needs to control that stroke though as best he can. Sometimes he spins a wee bit. Just control that stroke the first few strokes. Holding water okay there. Would have liked a wee bit more build into it, but you know, the 53 is all about relaxed aggression. You cannot just spin and just hope. But it looks like Regis, Dylan Regis, the Lisburn swimmer, straight arm at the end of the touch, hand on the wall. 23:39. Regis, he loves it. Look at him. Go on, kid, celebrate. Good lad. He's having some meat.
Yeah, Regis is swimming really well this meet actually. So that is again just slightly below that PB enter at 23.65 to bring it down to a 23.39. But again, 0.3 of a second on a 50-meter freestyle is nothing to be laughed at. So really, really strong swim there from the Lisbon swimmer.
Yeah, he had a great start. He never looked back. I was focusing on Sutton as he was the fastest qualifier, but Sutton just needs to relax that first 10, 15 meters, just 20 even. Just relax that stroke, settle into it, build it. You know, although it's only one length, you do have to build the stroke. It's weird.
Absolutely. We had John Short in that heat as well, so just going 1/100th of a second below his entry time, entered in a 23.83 and swimming at 23.82. So he's kind of just given a front crawl event to go after all his back roll events this weekend.
You might as well. Nothing to lose. But here we go, Tom Fannin, the new Irish senior record holder of 21.95. So watch him explode off the breakout and watch his high rate, watch his whole back and his whole legs visible out of the water. Intrigued to see where he'll go. Not the best starter in the world, but he's off. That rate, straight arm stroke, bouncing a wee bit too much for my liking maybe, but he's got so much power. Cameraman, there we go. Legs coming in nice. Hold. An eye on the clock, Ooh. 22.11 for Fannin. Looked very controlled. I thought that first bit looked controlled from him, but that's a good swim.
Yeah, that's a good heat swim there from Tom Fannin. So 22.11, so it still is below that Barry Murphy record of a 22.14, but we know he can swim faster. He went that 21.95.
Yeah, so that was just a wee bit tense maybe at the start there. I thought he could have maybe just relaxed a wee bit into it, you know, a bit better, you know, and just got that rate up a bit earlier than he did. So, yeah, not bad. You can never lap at a 22.11 with some swim. But then Bain, what's Bain got the answer for here? Haven't seen him much at this meet. Usually he would dabble in the 50 flies and 100-meter freestyles, but recently moved to Dublin to train with Tom Fannin. And he's just focusing on the 50 now. That's all he's looking at. So, used to love racing Callum Bain. He was such a good starter. Even though I never beat him. Used to love racing him. Great guy. Okay. Okay, Callum, what you got?
Yeah, so we've got the lads off the block now. Final heat of this men's 50-meter freestyle, and like you said, Callum taking it out strong. Really, really strong first 15 meters and hitting the 25 perfectly. Again, a little bit of a straight arm there. He's eating up the water as he comes down this last 12 and a half and really starting to pick up that stroke rate as he comes into the wall. Just needs to put his head down. Let's see what time Callum can go in this heat swim. 22.36. So not the time he was looking for, but let's see what he can bring in this final swim this evening.
Yeah, good swim, Cam. 22.36. You know, just again, sort of maybe the end of that the end of that race, just maybe sort of starting to tie up is definitely the wrong word, but just sort of lose that catch on the water a wee bit. But really good to 25, and that's a nice morning swim. Callum, you know, hasn't raced too much, so sometimes it's hard to get back into the meet, isn't it? Sometimes after a few days, but that's going to be a phenomenal race tonight.
Absolutely.
So happy I'm commentating on that one.
Absolutely. I was really happy with the back end of Callum's swim there as well. So he looked really strong kind of coming in that last 10 metres, put his head down well. So I am really looking forward to see how Callum and Fannin can get on this evening. It will be a great race between the two of them. So moving on to our next event. This is our second last event of this morning, guys. We have the women's 200-metre freestyle. Again, a fastest qualifier into this event is Victoria Catterson. She is our Irish senior record holder in a 1:59.86. Victoria has been having a bit of a mixed meet as well. Wasn't too happy with her 100 metre freestyle, so I think she's been focusing a little bit more on the 200, actually, Dave. So hopefully we can see a fast swim from her now.
Yes, absolutely. She's been, training hard, training well, I hear. So, again, kind of along the way about, even though she swam that 100 on, was it day 2 maybe? Day 3, I think it was, the women's 100 free. Tough to have a 200 free on the final day, But it's going to be a good race. It's going to be, she's that Irish senior record holder of 1:59.8. So she'll be looking. She's better than that too. She knows it. She should be right down around that 1:59 low, 1:58 high mark. So, with just the 5 heats of this.
So because we've just changed from that 50 metre freestyle, the technical team are just making sure that all the blocks are working well, so they've just gone through their technical start. So just going into heat number 1, we'll quickly run down through the list of names as we have the swimmers walking out onto the bank. In heat 1, just the 5 swimmers, we have Alicia Dempsey taking lane number 2. We've got Eva Maroney in 3. We've got Hannah Poynton in lane number 4. Georgia May Agnew takes lane number 5, and Abby Cunningham in lane number 6. So the fastest qualifier here is the 15-year-old Trojan swimmer Hannah Poynton in an entry time of 2:18.49. So spoken about it before, David. 200 definitely turning into a little bit more of a sprint event. So these girls are going to be looking to go out fast in that first 100, maybe 104, 105, and then bringing it back strong as well.
Yeah, just setting up that stroke. Obviously, it's more of a sprint event, but more of a sprint event probably for the more senior athletes as opposed to the junior athletes. They'll be looking to definitely pace it a bit more. They won't have the same kind of speed and ability to produce that lactate that the senior athletes would have, so they'll be looking a bit more pacing. But yeah, we while for them to wait here, so it can be a bit nerve-wracking having to wait this long behind the block, but
I think we're just clearing all the lads, getting all their stuff after the 50 metre freestyle. So once we have a clear back end of the
those 50 freestyles are so dramatic, aren't they?
So dramatic,
pretending
David.
They're tired after the 50. Here we go, heat 1, women's 200 free. Okay, into the water they go, no problems there. So we have entry times of fastest entries of a 2:18, so when you eyeball times like that, you just always want to look at a few seconds, find a little barrier, a little personal barrier that you can break. But at the minute, it's the bottom of your picture there.
That's Alicia Dempsey. I think she'll be just turning first. So let's have a quick look at these splits. Actually, it's lane number 6, Abby Cunningham. She had a strong last 5 minutes of that first 50. So 31.76. Again, these girls are going to be, like you said, David, kind of the younger swimmers, probably focusing more on pacing. They've been working on that, I'd say, in the warm-up, obviously in training as well, but they'll probably know exactly what they need to be hitting on that first 50 and then trying to maintain that pace, really build on that last 75 as well.
Yeah, they'll go on through pacing and warm-up, 50s generally, just kind of maybe 2, 3, never really any more than that. You don't want to tax the body out, you just want to let the body know that this is the pace it needs to go. But she's in on a 2:18 and she's going to turn in a 1:06.5, so she's right in the mix there to get a good time. She should be looking maybe at around a 2:15 here off that. That would be a really good back end if she could do that. But now this third 50, you have to keep the hammer down. You have to keep going. Don't let the rate drop. Don't let your mind wander to the final 50. She's looking to control this now comfortably, the Kilkenny swimmer, just 14 years of age. Sorry, she's entered on a 2:19, so she could be even looking at a huge PB here. Let's see what she is at the split. 1:42.2 and a 35.6.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to need to bring it back solidly enough on this last 50 to break that, again, entry time of a 2:19.68, but below that 40-second mark anyway, and she should be hitting that PB. She's looking strong. Again, Kilkenny always kind of had a good freestyle team coming through with the likes of Mikey McCarthy, David Prendergast, etc. So we know that they are strong when it comes to this 200 metre freestyle. So let's see how she can finish in this last kind of 10 metres or so. She needs to be able to just pop that head down. Again, only 5 heats, so she's going to be looking to swim well in this morning swim. And 2:17.25, so yes, a good PB there, 2 seconds nearly for the 14-year-old Abby Cunningham.
Yeah, good swim. These heats, it's all about taking it out, controlling the race, controlling the rate. but making sure you manage the energy of the legs throughout the race. You can't overkick in the first 50 meters. You'll pay for it so badly in the last 50. Sometimes you got to think arms in that first 50, first 75, go arms, or even the first 100. Just think about arms. Almost think about, because you will subconsciously kick hard anyway, but you can't be consciously thinking about kicking because otherwise you'll overkick. So it'd be sort of off the 100-meter wall, then you begin to kick your legs in that third 50. But if you can save the legs as best you can for the first 100, for the last 50 you'll have a lot more.
Absolutely, and I know you were more kind of a 50 and a 100-meter specialist, David, but did you ever have any kind of standout performances in your head when it came to a 200-meter freestyle?
What, for me?
For you?
No, I never really swam it that often. I did when I was younger. I went 153 maybe, long course, 153 low, which was all right for me, I suppose, when I was at Loughborough. And then short course, got under 150 once, but I always hated doing it. Race just went on forever. So I just never enjoyed it. Just never enjoyed it. Do you know what it was? It was more mental in India. I never backed myself that I would be able to be fit enough to finish it because I sort of felt I was a sprinter. So I think that was a big problem. Looking back, if I maybe just changed my mindset, I would have gone a lot faster. But
absolutely, we were chatting about that before in regards to relays. You can really change your mindset, and I would never have put myself as a 200-meter freestyler. But I remember the only time I really had to perform was when we were doing the 4x2. I think it was in Lisburn City, the 4x2 relay short course season, and I was with the UCD team and we were going for the Irish senior record, so I think I had a lot of pressure on my shoulders then. So it's the only standout 200-meter freestyle that I have on my mind, but I'm glad I didn't have to repeatedly do the 200-meter freestyle, to be honest.
Tough event, really tough event. I mean, coaches would always kind of want, like we spoke about it, was it yesterday in there, where coaches would quite like you to step up an event in distance, so then your main event seems a lot shorter and a lot easier. So
absolutely, yeah.
Paul Dennis at Bangor always wanted me to do 200 free, but towards the end I was stroppy, grumpy. Towards the end I was like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. So
yeah,
swimmers don't do that. Listen to your coach.
Yeah, you definitely get a little bit more of a voice as a swimmer when you get older, to be honest. So
too much.
Yes, swimmers, listen to your coaches.
Don't do what I did. We're coming into heat 2 here. We bit of a delay between them.
Okay, we'll quickly just run down through the list of names here for heat number 2 as we wait for the start. So we've got Hand in 0, we've got Subadova in lane number 1, McLean in 2, Byrne in 3, Began in 4, McKernan in 5, Dunn in 6, O'Brien in 7, Rock in 8, and O'Neill in lane number 9. So our fastest qualifier into heat number 2 is Shona Began. She's a 16-year-old from Trojan. She has a time of 2:14.70. So moving down from the times here for heat number 2. Again, if she's looking to break that 2:14, she's probably going to want to go out in a comfortable time of around a 1:02, 1:03, maybe 1:04 max, and then bring it back strong. But it does look like we've got lane number 2 taking it out strong. We'll have a quick look at these 50 splits as they turn down this first length of their 200.
Yeah, always one will take it out faster than the others. Sophia O'Neill, top of your screen, lane 9. Outside Byrne, obviously breathing to the left. So on the way down the pool, she's breathing every 3, sorry, so she'll see both. Sometimes if you only breathe to the one side and you're in one of the outside lanes, that means that you'll be looking at the whole field on one length, and the next length you'll be looking at the wall, looking at nothing. So, but O'Neill can breathe to both sides, which is a rarity.
We've got majority of our younger swimmers taking these previous 2 heats. So again, we've got 3 finals for this evening. We've got our A final, our B final, but we also have a junior final as well. So a lot of these swimmers from heat 1, 2 and 3 are going to be looking to bring it back for the junior final this evening. So still trying to push that fast time. Again, we spoke that these juniors will probably have a little bit more pacing involved in their 200 meters, but it's looking like a strong event here from one of our inside lanes. Lane number 2, I think here is just about to take the lead here on this third 50.
Yeah, lane number 2 was the one I saw from the start that kind of had a really nice transition to 15 to 20, 25 meters and sort of set up the stroke nicely. But O'Neill's hanging tough, top of your picture. Hard enough to call here, but McLean in on an entry time of 2:16.2. So we'll see a camera angle about deceiving to see who's in the lead here, but it looks like, I think it is O'Neill actually at the top. This is going to be a tight one. It's all about who can. I like O'Neill's leg kick at the top.
Yeah,
I think she's going to have it.
Definitely picked up the stroke
yeah,
rate
comfy.
as well.
Thanks very much. 2:15.18 for O'Neill. McLean a good swim in 2:15.8. And Ava Rock just hung tight up next to O'Neill there, just swam off her fantastically. 2:15.9 for her. Great swimming there from the girls.
Yeah, I really liked O'Neill's tactics there when she came to the 200 metre there. So she took it out strong in that first 100. Definitely knew her pace there for the third 50 as well, and then could really pick up that stroke rate kind of coming into that last 25. So taking that heat number 2 in a 2:15.18. Really strong swim from the swimmer. She entered in a 2:18.47. Again, just 15 years of age, so she'll be looking to make one of the finals this evening, that junior final. So again, we have an A, a B and a junior final, and again it's only 5 heats, so a lot of these swimmers will be looking to coming back into the final swim. So moving on to heat number 3, this is the first of our seeded heats in this women's 200 metre freestyle. We've got Molly McAlorum. She is the Leander swimmer, but she's in the National Centre Ulster. She's taking the centre lane in a 2:05.85. So big increase in speed as we come into heat number 3. Again, our Irish senior record is held by Victoria Catterson. She'll go in one of the later heats. She'll be going into heat number 5. Her entry time of her Irish senior record is a 1:59.86. But then we've got a long-standing Irish junior record. That's 2 minutes 0.61. That's set by Sarika McMahon back in 2011. So she was a fantastic freestyle swimmer. We saw her Irish senior record being broken in that 100 freestyle as well. And then again, our meet record is being held by Katinka Hossu, the Iron Lady, in a 1:57.59. So Molly having a decent meet as well this programme. David, looking to see what she can kind of produce in this heat number 3 of the 200 metre freestyle. Oh, doesn't look like she's there.
She's not there, no. I think she's ill, actually.
Bigging her up.
I think she's sick. I'm not bigging her up. She didn't even show up. Molly, what are you doing? No, I'll let you off.
Giving out to the go when she's sick.
You're not well. Okay, with no McAlorum in this one.
We'll just quickly run down through the list of names there, guys, for heat number 3. We've got Jessica Purcell taking lane 0. We've got Katie Prunty taking lane number 1. So we've got Madison Emmett in 2. Ella Carroll in lane number 3. Again, Molly McAlorum not there, present in lane 4. So we've got Orla McAndrew taking 5. Anna Feenan in 6. We've got Hazel Bentley in lane number 7, Clara Doherty in 8, and Holly McInerney in lane number 9. So our fastest qualifier will be Orla McAndrew in this heat. She takes lane number 5.
Yeah, dominating first 50. Slightly higher rate than everyone else. Don't have a rate watch on me, so can't really tell, but looks like she's rating in the low to mid 40s maybe. So she's taking a commanding enough lead. Check her entry time. Well, 2:08.5 is her entry time, so she'll need to be out around 61, 62. Yeah, 61.5. You know, to sort of match that, she'll need to rep here 32 flat. 32 flat, that would give her like a 2:05 mid, so that would be not a bad swim from her.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit more experience, 17-year-old. So again, we kind of spoke about more pacing when it came to the previous heats, but she's just taken it a little bit in that 1:02. So she's going to be wanting to maintain somewhat of that pace coming into this third 50. So I'll have a quick look at her spits now, but she's looking strong. Her stroke rate is still looking strong. Good kick behind her as well. And she does turn in a 33.42. So she's going to have to really hammer down this last 25 to get a good place in tonight's final.
Yeah, that's what I mean. On that third 50, you don't want it to drop off. You keep, because once it drops off, very tough to get it back for the last 50. So we'll sort of see, maybe she was holding back subconsciously, but to progress in that race, you need to really hammer down that third 50. But she's still having a fantastic race. Take nothing away from her. She's going to come in. I mean, her best is a 2:08. She'll be doing well to get under that. 2:08.94. So
yeah, just slightly above that entry time there. I think would have been nice if she had Molly just beside her to kind of like drag her along kind of those final few meters, but still a strong swim there from Orla. Again, she goes into heat number 3, so I'm guessing with that 2:08.94 she still will be making one of the finals this evening, probably that A final, so hopefully she gets a good lane and can drop a little bit more time in that final swim tonight.
Yeah, she may have just taken it out a wee bit fast, you know, especially when you saw the 32 mid split on the second 50 and then 2:33 splits for the third and fourth 50, so maybe a lot to work on, maybe pacing wise. But coming into heat 4 or 5, we've got Grace Davison, that really exciting talent, young swimmer from Ards, just 16 years of age this year, so she's had a couple of Irish junior records in the 100 freestyle, especially 50 meter freestyle. So the Irish junior record in that 200 freestyle is pretty damn good.
That's Sarika McMahon's,
Sarika, yeah. It's 2 minutes, 0.6, but she's got a year or two to get it, so you never know.
You know, absolutely, she's looking at form. I know she's swam the 800 and she's swam the 1500, just slightly outside those qualifying times that she was looking for. But again, we still know that she is swimming well, and you know, kind of you going through her interviews as well, she's still happy to be out racing as well, isn't she, Grace?
Yeah, she's a lovely girl, really nice manner about her. She better be here now. We've bigged her up. Everybody we've bigged up has just not shown up. Yeah, she's there.
She's there.
Me and India have a habit of doing that. We need to fix it.
Like not looking at the screen before we start chatting to people.
But she is there, folks. Grace Davison makes me feel short. She's only 15 years of age. She's very tall, so she's got the genes. Okay, here we go. Interesting to see what she goes this morning. She's in on a 2:04.6. So see how she kind of paces this. We'll sort of know from the first 25 to 35 meters or so.
Yeah, so we're just quickly running down to the list of names here, guys. Second last heat of this women's 200 meter freestyle. We have two empty lanes, so lane 6 and lane 7 are empty, but running down through the rest, we've got Laura Potts taking 0, we've got Anna Nikishina in lane number 1, we've got O'Shea taking lane number 2, Leah Bailey in 3, Grace Davison again in lane number 4, we've got Sky Austin Burrows in 5, again lane 6 and lane 7 are empty, so Leanna Ledane takes lane number 8 and Amy Dawson in lane number 9.
Yeah, out in the 29.2 for Grace. What I love about her, look how much she reaches on that, especially that left arm. So the hand is entering right up at the top, fully extended. So she's basically, what she's doing there, folks, is making sure that she's getting the pull right from the top of her wingspan, so she's not losing any of that advantage that she gains with having such a large wingspan. So really good technical proficiency there from such a young age. She's out in a 60.5, that's not bad on the way out. Okay, she'll want to come home now. If you grab another 31 here, that would be nice.
Yeah, like you said, she's got the height and she's got that wingspan, so we're definitely using it to her advantage here. Like you said, she's got that really lovely long stroke here. Again, breathing pretty much 1 and 4, so you know, quite different for a lot of 200 meter freestylers, breathing that 1 and 4, but she's looking strong. Let's see what this third 50 split is. She's got a nice strong kick behind her as well. So, and she turns in a 32.26, so not the time we were looking for in that third 50. Let's see what time she can bring it home in.
Yeah, you always want it, you know, all these swimmers have to learn that, to keep hammering down that third 50, but still a good split, 32 low. If it's going to be 32, it needs to be 32 low. But an interesting breathing pattern, like India noticed, I didn't notice that. She's going 4-2. 4-2, yeah, well, that's interesting. Never seen anybody ever do that. But here we go, coming into the wall. This is going to be a 2:05, I think. Yeah, 2:05.00. For her, that's a good heat swim. She's in a 2:04.66, so with the race tonight, she'd be flirting with that 2:03 mark, definitely, India.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when she has a little bit of competition there beside her, Grace, she'll definitely be bringing that time down. Again, I was interested with that breathing pattern, though. It's not really usual that you see a 1 and 4, kind of 1 and 2 on a 200 meter freestyle. So she definitely has the fitness behind her there. She can maintain that kind of 1 and 4, 1 and 2. But again, maybe she's using that to her advantage to really keep her head down and reach out on each of those strokes.
I mean, you would see it on 100. I mean, I used to do it the odd time, the 100, 2 and 4, but not on 200, you know, because there's so much oxygen that it's interesting.
Absolutely. But again, she's got youth on her side, so maybe those lungs are perfect for that 1 and 2 and 1 and 4. But no, really strong swim again, like you said, 2:05.00 for a heat swim. Fantastic there from Grace Davison. So moving on to our final heat, we've got Victoria Catterson. She is our Irish senior record holder. She goes in lane number 4. Hopefully she is there before I start talking about her, and she is. So just have a quick look down at the pool. But again, her entry time here is a 1:59.86. The only swimmer in this field to be breaking that 2-minute barrier. Again, major barrier to be breaking in the 200 meter freestyle. Really puts you kind of up there in that 200 meter freestyle event. Yeah, she's the only Irish woman to ever do it, I think. Goes sub 2 minutes, so which is much better than that too. You know, as great as a 1:59.8 is for Victoria, she's considerably better than that. So, you know, it shouldn't stop there. Now she's broken that barrier, there should be a progression. I was chatting to her at breakfast. She looked very calm, relaxed. She said she's going to give it a go, but she's not caffeining, and she's not taking, you know, she's just sort of relaxed and just going to go for it, but not going to get as up for it mentally, you know, as you would be for the final. So it's
sometimes swimmers can get something out of that. So Victoria's problem has always been going out a bit slow. She's kind of beginning to fix that now as she becomes a more experienced female athlete.
Yeah, 'cause she's always got a really strong back end of her race anyway, so we know that she can power through that kind of last 50% of any race that she performs. So it'd be nice to see her just push it a little bit on this first 100 as well. But running quickly down through the list of names, we've got Foles in 0, Bailey in 1, Jones in 2, Rebecca Friel in 3, Victoria Catterson in 4, Naomi Trait takes 5, Danielle Farrell in 6, we've got Phelan in 7, Kelly in 8, and O'Brick in lane number 9. But Victoria Catterson storming out on that first 50 and taking the lead quite early on in this race.
Yeah, I want Victoria to be out 58, 57. 57 preferably for me, I think. So she'll be outside, she's going to be out 58, I think. 58.6, okay. She's leaving herself a bit to do. To be getting down around that 159. But like India mentioned, she has a sublime back end. This is where her strengths are, you know. This third 50, hammering it down. I actually missed what her split was, that 50. Did you see it, India? No?
I didn't see the 50 split,
Just
no.
to compare it to this third 50, but we'll
go back over them.
We'll watch it anyway, and we'll pay attention. Here we go, yeah, 129.9 and a 31.4. She needs to be back. Well, she's not going to break that 2-minute mark this morning, but 2:01 definitely I think will be around here, where she's going to go, but
yeah, she'll definitely be taking the centre lane in tonight's A final. Again, have a little bit more competition beside her, which definitely pushes Victoria along. We saw that in the 100-metre freestyle between herself and Danielle Hill. So just coming in strong in this last 12.5. Again, you can see that strong leg kick from her behind her. I think she is giving it a go this morning, but we'll definitely see a little bit faster tonight from her. Straight arm to finish in a 2:00.59. So again, like we said, strong back end of that race.
2:00.59 is good for this morning, considering she, 30.6 on the back end is telling me she can get out quicker. Okay, she needs to be out 57 high. If she'll get out 57 high. She's definitely not going to die on the back end. But even if she dies a little bit, she's definitely still capable of going 159 low tonight with caffeine and everything else. So she knows her back end will be there. So sometimes with swimmers, like ourselves, and you were a sprinter as well, it's easier for us to go out quick. We don't think twice about it. Whereas for a more distance swimmer, it's very difficult for them. Whereas we find it harder to come back quick, probably. They find it harder to go out. So it's sort of putting yourself in that uncomfortable situation of like, oh, I've never been this tired at the 100. Oh, but what do I do? It's putting yourself in that situation. I know when Brendan qualified, he did qualify for the Olympics, but he just missed the FINA A standard. He had to do that. He had to go out quick, and he just didn't like doing it. But his coach at the time, Ben Hickson, sort of forced him to say, Brendan, I want you to go out 54, as fast, 55, as fast as you literally can. I don't care what you do in the back end. I just want you to teach your body that feeling at the first 100.
Absolutely. I remember that struggle for Brendan, actually. So, he used to always have a very strong back end as well when it came to that 200 fly. So I remember those first couple of races where he had to really try on that first 100. And sometimes, yes, he would die a little bit on that second 100, but it is about getting used to it. Again, we said it yesterday, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in your races as well. So when it comes to racing, particularly with, like, say, the likes of ourselves, when it came to sprinting, it's what you train is what you're good at. So like, if you're kind of training to get out fast as you can, because that's all you don't have a lot of time to get into that race, then that's what you train. So a lot of these kind of endurance athletes, or middle distance to long distance, they need to actually to train that and to learn that kind of feeling of getting out fast as well.
Yeah, perfectly put, India. Exactly. On that sort of swimming, you sort of look at, if you look at it from the outside view, it just looks like they're swimming up and down, but there's so much to it. Different body energy systems, things like that. Different tactics different swimmers have. So we're moving on now to the men's 1500 freestyle. So a complete switch in event from the last male event, which was the 50 free. So this is hard to put that 1500 ride at the end for these young swimmers, but on day 5, but they'll train for it. They'll know what they want. Just the 3 swimmers here in this race, so expect there to be a bit of disparity here between them. Usually on that 15 we've got in lane number 3 Kopniazinski, Sundays Wells in 18:48. Next to him Liam O'Connor is in 18:37, and then Dylan Looney or Lunny, excuse me, is in 18:38. So, those two swimmers, bottom of your screen, will be looking to swim off each other, similar entry times. And then the top swimmer, the Sunday's Well swimmer in lane number 5, will be looking to hang on as best he can. He's got a slightly slower entry time. But the 1500, an event that you have to just settle into your stroke nicely and just sort of swim off the fact that you've done the training and you know just exactly what pace you need to be at, because you obviously can't see what pace you're going in any race, what splits you have. But because the 1500 is so long, you have to swim off feel. You have to kind of know that feeling. So first 100 of 30 lengths. Two very different strokes. You're sort of looking at lane number 3 there. Kopniski has got a lot more bounce to his stroke. He's taking a lot more strokes than the swimmer above him. So, going to be interesting to sort of see how that pans out throughout the race. Can he hold on to that rate? He's swimming a lot like Andy Megan used to kind of swim, the old Irish senior record holder. That sort of bouncy, high energy stroke, but
similar to kind of any like Irish open water swimmer, because they obviously have to like look where they're going and
bounce over the waves.
Yeah, bounce to the waves as well. So interesting style that he's taking out here. It'll be interesting to see if he can maintain it for the full 1500, because like we said before, it is all about swimming kind of on top of the water, making sure you're not swimming in the water technically, because you want to swim on top. That's where you're going to be swimming fastest. But he is our top turner there at the 200 meter mark, 2:18.96. This is where the lads are really going to be settling into that stroke. So again, lane number 4, really just hanging on his shoulders. He's turning to his left here to keep an eye on lane number 3, who is fastest so far. So again, these lads know what their paces are going to be. They're going to be splitting pretty much consistently like a metronome. We've said it a couple of times before now. They're going to know what their paces are, and they're going to want to make sure that they're hitting it every single 50.
Yeah, absolutely. Like India said there about the that sort of open water kind of stroke. So, a lot of 1500 swimmers now you'll find are actually jumping into the 10K open water.
With the likes of Brian, didn't we?
What, sorry?
What was his name? Chris Bryan.
Chris Bryan did that, yeah. He sort of swam, but he was 10K open water. It was his main focus. But you're having a lot of swimmers go from the pool to the open water. For example, you had your 2016 Olympic champion in the 1500 meter freestyle, Gregorio Palcineri. I think he's still the world record holder. But in Tokyo he opted to not do the 1500 and just do the 10K open water, and he got a bronze medal in that. So when these swimmers are so fit and they've trained so much, training for a 1500, training for a 10K actually aren't that dissimilar.
No, it's not.
I'm trying to think, there's definitely other names. Maluli used to do it. There's Salman Maluli, who famously beat Grant Hackett in the Beijing 08 games. Grant Hackett was unbeaten for I don't know how long. It was 2008, so he was probably unbeaten from late 90s probably, and was by far the favourite to become the first man to win 3 Olympics in a row in the same event, or the same person. And he got beat by Osama Malouli of Tunisia. Just like Hackett was in the middle swimming his own race, and then slowly but surely from like lane 7, Malouli just cropped up, and then beat him. And then Malouli then went on to win the 10K open water gold in London. So there's a lot of crossover between that now. I don't know if there's anybody really from Ireland going for the 10K open water, is there really?
No, I don't think in the open water. Like, we do have a lot of transfers, I'd say, from like competitive swimming into different swimming events. So we had a lot of kind of, I guess, somewhat competitive swimmers going from swimming into pentathlon, so with the likes of Arthur Lanigan O'Keefe, and then the likes of Jess Stollard as well. I think she set one of the top world records in the
modern pentathlon.
In modern pentathlon, yeah. So she set a record there a couple of years ago in regards to the swim event in the modern pentathlon as well. So it's nice to see some of our competitive swimmers that may not have achieved their full potential in the pool, but also transferring it over to other sporting events as well. And like you said, like, it is that kind of fitness that you're building up. So if you're talking going from a 1500 to that 10K, it's really not going to be that much of a difference in regards to training. They're definitely going to know their pace. They're going to need to be able to get their arms used to the kind of mileage, so being able to swim 10K. But yeah, it's nice to see that we have that transfer in Irish swimming as well.
Yeah, that modern pentathlon, very, very interesting event, isn't it, at the Olympics? It's got like I think, what's the swimming event in it? Is it a 200 meter freestyle?
200 meter freestyle. They've got the fencing, is it?
I'm just looking it up here. They've got fencing, swimming, show jumping, shooting, and running. So I think it's meant to kind of sort of define what like the perfect soldier had back when, obviously the Olympics was founded by the Greeks. So the perfect soldier would be able to shoot, he'd be able to use a sword, he'd be able to swim, run, and he'd also be able to ride a horse. So I think it's based on like the ultimate Greek athlete, and it's kind of cool. It's lasted to even now. So
absolutely. That was a bit of a tongue twister there. Soldier, sword, swimming.
Yeah, jeez.
Wouldn't have been able to say it myself, but no, it is. It definitely is an interesting sporting event that we have now at the Olympics. But just returning back to the pool here, guys, we just hit the 500 meter mark, so that is the first third of this 1500 meter done. And again, we've got a change of leader here, so it is lane number 4 taking the lead. So again, we're starting to see that kind of drop off of that loping stroke that we saw from lane number 3. So definitely looking a lot more controlled, a lot smoother in lane number 4. Our entry there is Liam O'Connor. He's a 15-year-old from Kingdom. Again, 18:37.76. But again, we can't take it away. Our Irish senior record holder, 14:51.79. Daniel Whiffen. He's
fast.
He's fast.
Yeah, that's quick. And we've got his brother coming in tonight, Nathan. Twin brother. Check them out on YouTube. They are hilarious. Great guys.
Oh, they have their own YouTube channel now, don't they?
They have a YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Or everywhere you look, if you go on social media, you can never escape them. They are always there. They're fantastic swimmers. They're great for not only swimming in Ireland, but swimming in as a whole. To have swimmers like that with such confidence and energy, and the both of them won't mind me saying this, they weren't phenomenal juniors at all. They were not anything. You wouldn't have looked at them and gone, I think they are going to make it. I think they are going to be the next big thing, like you would a John Short or a Grace Davison. No way. I remember looking at them going, oh, they're good energy, and and they always said how good they'd be. They always would say, oh, I'm going to do this. Daniel would always say, I'm going to go to the Olympics one day, I'm going to do this, and everyone was like, oh yeah, good one. But they always believed, they stuck at it, and it's really, really impressive. That it just shows you that you don't need to be a great junior to end up going to the Olympics, or even better than that, as Daniel showed with that European record. So
absolutely. It also shows you just how important your mental game is when it comes to elite sport as well. You have the likes of, say, if they're not the best kind of junior swimmers, but mentally they really do believe in themselves. So again, that's kind of coming out to every event and probably just enjoying it, not putting too much pressure on themselves, just coming out and knowing yeah, I want to improve every single time.
And that comes from, where did you find kind of mental resilience came from? I sort of put it down to 3 things. There's three different kinds of swimmers, I think, that they got confidence from. So you get swimmers that swim off work, react well, that if they've done the work, they've done the training, that they'll be confident for the race. You get swimmers that get confident from rest, from knowing that if they're rested enough. That was me. So the first kind of swimmer I mentioned, Nick Quinn, would have been very like that. He had to work, know he had the work done. I liked to know that I was rested enough. And then you get the other kind of swimmer, which is someone like a Shane Ryan, who swims off confidence. If Shane Ryan's had good successive swims coming into a meet, you're almost guaranteed he's going to swim well. What did you kind of fall into, and how did you think that sort of affected you in your career?
I think definitely I was probably more of a work person, so knowing that my training was going well. Again, I think I spoke about it, was either yesterday or the day before. I'm a very competitive person, not only with the females that I was racing with in my club and competitors in the pool, but I'd look at the lads in my club and say, nah, I'm beating you today. So we'd be doing our time trials with Bill McCarthy back in ESB, and I would never want to race against a female. I'd want to race against a male in my club and just see, no, most likely wasn't going to win if they were kind of they're both of our specialist events, but I wanted to see how close I could get to that person and know what I needed to work on as well. And also having the likes of my brothers there as well, I did not want them to beat me. So that was my main driver, I think, right up until the age of about 14, 15, until I knew I was a confident swimmer. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Even myself and Rory's the head coach in ESB. I think we're both walking around being no, I'm more popular around Swim Ireland. No, I'm more popular around Swim Ireland. So definitely still competitive in coming up to the age of 30. But
I think you can definitely lift more weights than him. So
never lose it. But what about yourself? So you were saying kind of resting, was it that you felt more rested?
For me, resting, yeah. I was a sprinter, obviously, and I responded really well to a lot of rest. I did a lot of work in my earlier days as a swimmer, and then as I got older, you know, me and Nick were talking about it last night at dinner. You know, your body changes and you can't get away with the same amount of volume and intensity. So, you know, all swimmers around me would laugh at me. They would say, "Oh, Dave, you're just doing 500 meters today. You're just doing 1500 today." You know, but my taper was, you know, 4 or 5 weeks long of 1500 meters a day. You know, it was once a day. It was I needed to do that, and it was almost like when I got to the race day, if I felt like I was too rested and I hadn't done enough, that was a good thing. I knew then I was rested, and that worked for me. Maybe because I was more of a sprinter, a bit more maybe focused on gym work, you know. But for example, a Victoria Catterson, that wouldn't work for her. She needs to know she's done the work, or her head will go into a bit of a meltdown. So it's about finding what makes you the most relaxed on race day and doing that.
Absolutely, I can see exactly what you're talking about in regards to, say, for myself going through, it was in UCD swimming alongside Shauna O'Brien, so she was also very similar events to myself, so 50 and 100 meter butterfly, but we tapered very differently. So I would like to know how I'm pacing, know how I'm sprinting, so I'd probably be getting up and doing kind of maybe 50 meter sprint trials, but Shauna, when it come to it, she'd be doing, you know, social kick at the back of the lane. She just wanted to rest as much as possible. Yeah. She'd be kicking up and down. Earl would be like, "Do you actually want to try and make 2 minutes for a 100 meter front crawl here?" And she's like, "Nah." And she would just say, so chilled, so relaxed. And she was our senior record holder there in the 100 meter fly for a while. Time. So she was she was a fantastic swimmer as well, but that's just how she used to relax before competition. It was like about a kilometre and a half when I kind of came up to the lead, and sometimes she'd even come out into the bank. And I know some of our endurance swimmers used to get a little bit annoyed at her, but she'd come out kind of the weeks leading up to competition.
Oh, people used to get so annoyed at me.
Yeah, everyone used to get into the pool and start swimming. She'd fall asleep on the bank for a little while. So
that was me.
Yeah, all swimmers do take it slightly differently.
Yeah, so it's just all about, you know, for these 1500 swimmers that are in the water now, you know, they'll have done, their taper will be almost non-existent. So for those of you who don't know what a taper is you will reduce volume, reduce intensity, like as we discussed. For some swimmers that may be a lot more, for some swimmers it may be slightly less for the more distance guys, because they need to keep that fitness. They'll lose that fitness very quickly. But taper is when your training becomes easier in every regard. And then basically that will freshen your body up. Your body will adapt to the fact that, you know, it's done a lot of work. And taper only works if you've done the work previously. So if you, let's say, for example, you do 12 weeks of hard work. Let's say you have 3 weeks hard, 1 week off, 3 weeks hard, 1 week off, 3 weeks hard, 1 week off for 12 weeks. And then the competition is, let's say, 2 weeks from then. You will then drop intensity of work. And then the idea is that when you come to the big competition such as this, that your body has recovered and freshened up from all that work, but it's still got the benefit of all that work. You're still fit, you're still strong, but you're just letting your body adapt. And obviously all these swimmers will be shaving down, removing body hair, and then you sort of peak for this event. So swimming, it's really, really popular in swimming, less so in the likes of athletics, I think, and other sports, but for swimming, taper is so important, isn't it?
It is, and we spoke about it before, swimming is such a grueling and demanding sport, so there's a limited number of sports that probably have to train just as much. Like you have the likes of the rowers, they definitely train just as much as swimming, and you have other sports like that as well. But swimming, the amount of hours that you're doing per week, so it could be over 20 hours, and that includes both land training, includes mobility training, and also the swim training that you do in the pool as well. So to be able to kind of bring that intensity down, it definitely allows the body to adapt, kind of reserve those energy stores as you're like leading into a big competition, to the likes of literally even walking slower. So I remember like being on campus in UCD, and that's when I was kind of swimming at my top game, and Earl McCarthy, our coach at the time, he would be like, "Don't rush to lectures, literally walk slowly, make sure that you're reserving as much energy as possible." So you'd be 5 or 10 minutes late for lectures just because you'd have to walk across the city that is University College Dublin. But so it's literally just about,
isn't it? It's all what you do outside the pool too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember, and my thing was always, if you can run, walk. If you can walk,
crawl.
Stand. If you can stand, sit. If you can sit, lie down. If you can lie down, sleep. That was it. So if you had to run somewhere, if you can walk there, make sure and walk. Right? And just you literally, that's probably more of a mental kind of thing, but you got to reduce everything. I know when I was on taper, if I was ever at home, Dad wanted help around the house, and he'd be like, "Oh, can you help me with this? Chopping logs or whatever, or helping him with something outside." I'd be like, "Sorry, Dad, I'm on taper." And Mum would go, "Yeah, well, Tony, he's on taper, he can't." And I'd be sitting watching TV.
Absolutely. I remember my brother used to get annoyed at me. We had anytime we were going out for a walk or something and you'd be crossing at the green man, it would take me so long to actually cross the road that the cars would be like ready to go. And he was like, you can't explain to the cars they're on taper. Yeah, beeping at me. So yeah, definitely it is kind of like, but it kind of feels like you are taking a bit of a joke at how slow you kind of take life in that taper time, but it's what you need to do kind of as you get up to this like higher standards when you kind of come to Irish Open and stuff. But just coming quickly back to the pool, we definitely have our clear leader here for our first heat. That is lane number 4. Again, that's Liam O'Connor from Kingdom. So we're just turning here, I think it's just at the 1200 metre mark possibly. Let's just have a quick look at those times out. So 1300 metres actually, we've got 4 lengths left of the pool, so nearly time for that Saviour bell, Dave.
Yeah, Saviour bell, yeah, absolutely. Must feel so good, like you hear that bell knowing you've came to the end of this grueling event. So we'll focus on these guys right to the end now. Me and Indy have talked enough rubbish. He's looking really, really nice actually, to maintain that stroke. Like I said, you know, from 200 metres to the end, you know, your stroke should just be the same, your rate should be the same. You know, there shouldn't be any real diversion of rates or time, because your body you want your body to settle into sort of a rhythm. So you're almost on autopilot. So he's got coming to the last 150. Yeah, repping 36 mids. Yeah,
he's been doing well with his splits there. He's kind of been sticking around that 36, so kind of just going as low as 36.3 and bringing it up to 36.7. So very, very consistent with those 50s. Again, he's going to be moving it down now to the final 100 metres. So we've got his official behind the blocks, just picking up that bell. So I'm sure I might see a little bit more of a kick from O'Connor coming into this final 100. Again, 1500, very, very grueling event. You know, it's very long, very long-winded, but again, these swimmers have been training for it now. So there's lane number 4's Bell. He's going to be turning again 36.45, so still very consistent. Let's see if he can bring that leg kick in for this final 100.
Yeah, usually you get to this point and it's just, what have you got left, you know? Some swimmers, some swimmers won't go in at this point, but he'll be beginning to think, you know, Liam will be thinking, okay, right, I'm coming to the end now, I'll know exactly what I've got left so I don't completely blow up in a cloud of smoke. But he'll now be, especially on this last one now, he'll just go gung-ho for the finish.
I'm worried that those goggles might be a little bit full. They're really right at the base of his head there.
They're what?
Liam O'Connor's goggles are right at the base of his head there, so I'm hoping that they haven't slipped at all during this 1500. But he's still looking strong, he's still taking the lead, so hopefully he knows exactly where he's going. Those goggles aren't full of water, but he's coming down this last 25 metres. Again, that entry time he has in of a 18:37, so definitely going to be smashing that time today. Really, really strong swim there from Liam O'Connor. Let's see what he finishes in here. He just needs to finish strong for this last 10 metres. Head down there, Liam. Finish it in strong.
Sub 18:10. Get in, kid.
And he does. 18:09.11. So fantastic swim. Nearly a 30-second PB. 28 seconds he's taken off there in his 1500 metres.
And then it's Kopaczynski, we said, with that similar stroke. You know, he's got good aerobic capacity, but he just needs to work on that length of that stroke. He can't be as jerky as that. You need using up so much more energy than needed with that kind of stroke. So he's coming in to finish now. Still no easy feat doing a 1500. So he's in on a 18:44, which is a 4-second PB for him.
Take PBs where you can get them, and then 18:49.90 there for the Leander swimmer. So above his swim there for Dylan Lunny, but again, very, very strong swim there from Liam O'Connor, the 15-year-old from Kingdom, really nearly taking 30 seconds off that entry time of an 18:37.76. So fair play to all 3 lads there swimming a 1500. Again, not easy when you only have 3 swimmers in the pool. Sometimes it's nice to have someone to your right and to your left, but they swam their own race well, and we're moving on to heat number 2.
Okay, that was heat number 1, just 2 heats this morning. And then we obviously have that fastest heat tonight, because you can't expect these guys to do heats and finals. They will be expected to do heats and finals at the World Championships, European Championships, Olympic Games, you know, but they're not on the same day. So for example, you'll do the 1500 meter freestyle. Let's say it's on day 4 morning. The final won't be until day 5 evening. So, you know, compared to the rest of the events where you do the heat in the morning, final in the same evening, 1500, 800, you need a bit more time, so they'll do it the following evening, because you can't expect swimmers to do 2 1500s in a day and perform.
No, they're pretty much guarantee that you have a minimum 24 hours rest in between those kind of more endurance events, because it's nothing like a 50 swimming at 50 in the morning, 50 in the evening, and the likes of those bigger events as well. You'll see semi-finals in those 50s too, so you have more than one chance to actually improve on that time as well. So it's nice that in the kind of the more international events that they still have that 24 hours to recover from such long events. But we'll just quickly run down through the list of names here for heat number 2. So we only have 9 swimmers here for this heat. So we've got Jamie Murphy, the dolphin swimmer. He takes lane 0. We've got Jack Hutchinson. He's lane number 1. He's from Askeaton. We've got the Aer Lingus swimmer, Tristan Egan. He takes lane number 2. Antonio Cascante takes lane number 3. He's a cool mine swimmer. Again, another Aer Lingus swimmer is taking lane number 4. That's Daniel Egan. So he'll be our fastest qualifier for this morning's swim. He's got a 17:50.81. Then we've got Dara Horgan taking lane number 5, our Limerick swimmer. We've got Kyle Loden in lane number 6, Kieran Watterson in lane 7, and Aina Garvey taking lane number 8. So again, Daniel Egan is our Aer Lingus swimmer. We've spoken about it a few times before. We've got Alan Turner. He's his head coach there in Aer Lingus. He's had some pretty impressive distance swimmers in the past, the likes of Connor Turner and Andrew Megan. Speaking about Andrew Megan in that previous heat, very similar style we had in lane number 3 as well.
Yeah, really, really, really like the stroke here of Dara Horgan. Really long, high elbow, controlled. You need to minimize drag, minimize unnecessary movement, because you're taking so many strokes. So over 30 lengths, that'll just cost you if you've just got unnecessary energy output in the wrong areas. One of the big ones is moving up and down instead of moving forwards. Everything should be directed to move yourself forwards. So he's coming along with like a 4-beat-ish kick, maybe 3.5.
Because the easiest way to recover, I guess, on a front crawl stroke is the high elbow recovery at the back, because we spoke about that straight arm front crawl before, and it's probably only really maintainable over that kind of 50-meter sprint, possibly 100 if you train the straight arm stroke a little bit more in those sprint events. But the only way you can really conserve energy in those arms is to really make sure that you get that high elbow recovery, pretty much swimming in a tunnel, so keeping everything quite narrow to the body. Yeah,
swimming in a tunnel. When I coach anybody, that's what I tell them. I say, imagine you're swimming through like a tunnel, and you can't touch the top, the sides of the tunnel. You've got to keep everything extremely tight, and that's a really, really good way to sort of describe it, because the more wider you bring your arms, if you empty your hands too wide, if your legs are kicking out too much, if you're flinging your hand over to the side, your hips are going to rotate too much, they're going to snake up and down. So if you keep everything forwards and like turning on one axis, that's the most efficient way to swim.
Yeah, really make sure that you're actually going through that shoulder rotation as well, because you do see some swimmers, especially as they're kind of coming from the Learn to Swim program into age groups, where they're very shoulder frontal. So again, that's a lot of resistance on front crawl as well. So the use of actually that line down the centre of the lane is a really good drill, that they can pretty much pretend like they're swimming along a beam, and they have to swim along that line down the centre of the lane as well.
Literally, yeah, it's and almost like, I would say as well, if you want to have an efficient, nice, long stroke, especially for this kind of event, I would say imagine you're swimming on your own in the pool. There's nobody here. The lights are off. And if I walked in, could I hear you swimming? And if I can't hear you swimming, and you're sort of swimming with that nice, elegant freestyle, I know that you're really, really efficient, because it's not for a sprint event. For a sprint event, you want to have a splash. You want to have lots and lots of energy. But for these longer events, they're more controlled and lovely. You'll see, if you watch Daniel Whiffen or even Nathan tonight, it'll be more controlled. It'll look like they're not trying, but trust me, they are.
Yeah, I used to always say to my endurance swimmers, it's like, treat the water nicely and the water will treat you nicely,
as
then you can go faster. Yeah, because if you start to fight the water, that's when you're going to start to increase that resistance as you're going through these endurance events. So what kind of drills would you be doing with some of your endurance swimmers to try and improve the length in their stroke?
Just pretty much like, there's a drill that every freestyler would have done, where it's maybe like something like arm lead kick on your side for 6 to 10 kicks, and then you're just going to go 3 super long strokes, like as long as you can make them, rotating the hips far, and that'll take you onto the other side with one arm in front kicking, and then you just see them again. So just rotate, rotate. Another good one I used to do was, it seems a bit weird, but it's breathing every single stroke. So breathing on every stroke, so left, right, so on every single stroke. So what that does is, if you don't slow your stroke down and lengthen your stroke down, you won't be able to do it. You'll just get too dizzy, and it won't be effective. So The one thing I thought, I didn't do too many things well, folks, in the water. What I did do well was, I think I had a really long stroke for my sort of shorter height for a swimmer, and it was because of that drill. I used to do, 400 meters like that. Fins, paddles, nice and easy, but it was just breathing every single stroke, making sure. Now, it's not very, you never want to do that in a race, breathing every single stroke, left, right, left, right, left, right, you'd be all over the place. But what it teaches you to do is it teaches you to lengthen your stroke out and slow everything down.
Absolutely, because a lot of drills that we focus on now, I guess, as swimming coaches, is to more over-exaggerate in the opposite direction to what swimmers might be doing. So say, for example, if someone is very frontal in the water and you want them to rotate, you probably go through drills that are probably more over-rotation, so they kind of find that middle ground of, that decent rotation. And same with, say, a back roll event where you're looking for a high stroke rate. You might actually get them to sit up in the water and spin their arms as fast as possible and then lean back into it. So a lot of drills could be more about the over-exaggeration in the opposite direction to what the swimmers are actually doing.
Exactly, it seems sort of counterintuitive, doesn't it? But it works. So, it is Horgan, like we said, back we're at the 5 meter mark, a third of the way there. He's that nice long stroke, but kind of hanging with him. Is lane number 2, Tristan Egan of Aer Lingus. You can hear Alan Turner shouting, his coach at the side.
Yeah, so it looks like they're sticking with each other here, lane number 2 and lane number 5, as they come in to about the 600 metre mark, 550 metre mark of this 1500. Again, splits are looking pretty good there for Dara Horgan, 36.14. So similar enough to the splits of our previous heat winner, that was Liam O'Connor. He was kind of sticking around 36.2 to 36.5. So again, his time was an 18.09.11 to finish off with those splits. And again, we've got Dara Horgan, he's got 17.55. So he might really want to start to pick up that pace a little bit if he wants to go faster than his PB, his entry time this morning.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe he might have a tactic that we don't know about. Maybe taking it a bit easier to the 700, 750, 800 mark and then pick it up. But hard to know. We can just observe from up here. But
absolutely, we can talk all about the 1500s, but we're not actually in the pool doing
no,
them
we're not
ourselves.
doing it. So it's very easy for me to say, go faster. But tough for these swimmers. But they've trained for it.
Absolutely, and like you said, we've got Nathan Whiffen going in the final heat this evening. So he's on the 800 earlier on in the week, and so he was just, I think it was 0.3 of a second above that qualification time that he was looking for. But again, still really happy just with a 10-second PB. So don't know what would his qualification time be looking for here in this 1500 this evening. His entry time is a 15:43.49. I'm sure he'll be happy with whatever sim he does, seeing as we saw that from him there on the 800 meter freestyle. But we can just have a quick look now of what qualification time he's looking for.
That's World Championships. I don't think he'll be close to the World Championships, but excuse me, folks, on the 23s qualifying standard for Mr. Nathan Whiffen in the 1500, it will be a 15:23.51. That's going to be hard for him to do. I think he had a good swim, I think, in January and somewhere abroad, 15:40 something, but then in Edinburgh he was slightly slower at 15. I think he was 15:50 something. So, but obviously in hard training, so tapered and rested, he'll be a lot faster. But I mean, I'm never writing off any of the Whiffen twins again, because they always prove everybody wrong. So Whiffen will be right down around that. His brother is also a fantastic freestyler. I know Daniel is obviously that European record holder and extremely talented, but Nathan is fantastic too.
Absolutely. We've already seen him PB in that 400 metres this weekend. We saw him PB in that 800 metres this weekend. So like you say, there's no point writing them off already. He could come into the 1500, and we know that Daniel maybe has, the 800 is obviously his stronger out of the two, but maybe Nathan's been training a little bit harder for that 1500, and maybe he's bring down his own pace in that 1500 as well this evening. So 10 seconds off an 800, it does show that he could bring down his 1500. Yeah,
exactly. So it'll be exciting to commentate on that one tonight. So all these swimmers in there are under the age of 18, so they'll all be at school, and they'll all be studying for exams and trying to manage all this training for exams. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you've never seen anybody work harder than my co-commentator, Indy McGlynn. She's a personal trainer, and she does 3 hours before commentating, and then does it in the break, and then does it at night. I'm like, how do you work so much? Would you please take a break? So how would you advise, you obviously manage your time so well. How would you advise these swimmers to sort of, anybody watching, sort of manage their time efficiently, whether it's social, school and sport?
Yeah, time management is a big life skill that you learn, especially from a sport such as swimming, because your training schedule is so big. I probably had to learn it from quite a young age, I guess. So ESB, the club that I trained in, was a unique swimming club in the fact that we did a lot of our training hours actually in the evening in comparison to the morning. So you get a majority of swimming clubs doing a lot of their training in the morning, kind of before school.
Love that club.
What?
Why didn't I swim there as a kid?
I know, so
no
ESB,
mornings?
Yeah, ESB only swam mornings at the weekend, and then during the week we swam in the evening. So I knew myself that when I kind of went to school in the morning, I might do like kind of my land training before school, but then that was only a short training session. So I'd have my school time, I'd come home, I'd have enough time, maybe like an hour and a half, 2.5 hours to get my study, to get my eating done before I went down training. Training would finish about 9, 9:15, and then I'd be home getting ready for the next day. So it was all about time management from quite a young age. And I know that a lot of these swimmers here this weekend that are probably around that 17, 18 mark, particularly down kind of the south of Ireland, they will have their orals for their leaving cert actually happening this weekend or this week. So I know some of my own swimmers, they've come into this competition, they've probably swam the Saturday and the Sunday, and then from the Monday and the Tuesday they were going back to sit their Irish orals for this weekend. So trying to, I guess, manage that time. It is difficult, but it is a good life skill to have. And yes, David has referred to me as David Goggins this weekend from the amount of work that I've been doing.
You know who David Goggins is. Look him up. He's like the most motivational man ever. Indy McGlynn is like the female Irish version of David Goggins. She just works her whole life.
But I guess it is just kind of the life skill. So I'm still kind of, doing my job, coming out doing the commentary, and I'm still in education myself. So going back to do my master's now in sports and performance nutrition. So trying to manage everything. I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for my swimming and kind of learning that time management skill from a young age.
And for these young swimmers, I suppose it's just kind of just giving everything the attention it needs. Make sure you're studying, make sure you're swimming, you're not missing your swimming. But I suppose study is more important for these swimmers. You're not going to make a career out of swimming, unfortunately.
No, and my head coach back in ESB would always say that. So he would always state to us, he was like, your main priorities in life are your health, your education, and then your sport. Oh, well, obviously family and stuff goes in between that as well. But he was kind of like, if you're thinking about your 3 priorities there, it goes health, education, and then sport. But to be honest, at the end of the day, we've spoken about before, swimming is usually your family as you're growing up and stuff. So, you're talking about social, and obviously like you'd have your nights out with your friends from school and stuff like that. But I actually just loved coming down training. Like training was just like kind of my home from home. Like I would come down, I knew everyone, very similar ages, very similar competitors to myself, and like I had the likes of like say Aisling Cooney as well growing up. So she was our 2008 Olympian back in Beijing, and she was such an idol to me as well. I loved actually coming down and training with her and learning from her and gaining more experience from Aisling as well. So swimming was just such a passion of mine. I didn't mind having to balance my school life with my swimming life, and I'm sure you felt the same as well, David.
Yeah, it was similar. Yeah. I did a lot of different sports when I was younger, and just sort of looking back, I don't really know how I did it, but you just get on with it, and you just do it. You go to school, you do your swimming, you do the best you can. You look back and you go, what, that's taught me a lot. So a lot of these swimmers going through the same kind of thing, balancing training and school work. But back to the action in the pool. Thanks for that insight there, India. Back to the action, and it actually looks like the 2 swimmers we said are still in the lead. It is Egan that's taking the slight lead from Horgan, but they're still kind of close. Horgan with that lovely long stroke, really like his stroke. But we're coming up now. 350 metres to go, so the back end of this heat 2 of men's 1500 metre freestyle on the final day of this Irish Open Swimming Championships 2023. It's been a fantastic meet so far. Some super swims. A lot of Irish senior records following. A lot of good races, good battles as well. So
yeah, no, we've had a fantastic meet over these past 5 days. We've seen Irish senior records fallen, we've seen Irish junior records fallen, and we've also seen so many qualifiers. I think we're up to 7 or 8 consideration times now, is it, for some of our summer international events this weekend?
I think so, yeah. There's a good few worlds now, isn't there? So Ellen Walsh, Mona McSharry, Conor Ferguson last night with that fantastic 100 back. So happy for him. He's an example of someone that just didn't get better for 7 years. Literally didn't get better for 7 years. He got a .01 PB in his 100 back in 2019. So PB from 2016. He got a .01 PB. So as a swimmer, you don't want that. You want more than that at that level. And then he only got a .3 PB last night. And that was the first time. So in 7 years, it took him. So it just shows you, real if you can go back and watch that race, it was fantastic. The emotion he showed after it, and then I interviewed him last night, and he was absolutely buzzing.
Absolutely, he looked so happy, and it was so nice to see Conor look so happy.
You think he won X Factor? He was loving it.
He did. He looked so happy after that race, and I was actually listening to his interview as well with John Kenny in the evening as well. It came on RT radio this morning, and he was just so thankful to everyone around him as well. So he was thanking Loughborough, he was thanking his girlfriend Esme, he was thanking just his whole support network for even just coming through those past few years where he hasn't performed the way he wants to, but now to be able to come back and get that world consideration time. So it's a fantastic swim from Conor last night.
We'll let him be an inspiration to everyone, but we're coming down to the final 200 metres here, so can hardly split them here. This could be quite exciting at the end, folks. They're both looking at each other, eyeballing each other during this final 200 metres, and it's going to be a test of wits. Who's going to go? It is Egan with the lead.
Yeah, we've got an interesting swim here from the Aer Lingus swimmer as well. He's actually bilateral breathing, so he's able to breathe to both sides. So he's kind of going 1 and 2 and then 1 and 3, just to keep an eye on his competitor there in lane number 5. So that will be to his advantage coming down this last 150. Lane number 5 just keeping that breath to the right hand side. So he's going to be turning. Oh no, actually he's doing the same. So he's able to breathe to his competitor as well. So that's interesting to see in a 1500 meters.
Yeah, I never really see that. Usually maybe at a younger age you might see it, but at an older age at Olympic level, they only breathe to one side because they want to keep that rhythm the same. But breathing to both sides is beneficial because it will keep the stroke very, very balanced. If you breathe to one side all the time in training, even in a race, you may begin to become more dominant on one side than the other. So I suppose if these athletes are swimming, training a lot, distance, and they're breathing to both sides, it makes sense to kind of just do the same in a race. But these guys, only 0.4 separating them now, coming into this last 100 metres.
Absolutely, they've definitely started to increase their pace as well. They're kind of sticking around that 36 low to 35 high, but we've just seen a 34 there from our Aer Lingus swimmer, so I'm sure he's going to be bringing it home now in this last 100 metres. He's going to start to need to increase that leg kick just a little bit. They have both heard that bell, so they know they just have 75 metres to go. Again, our entry times for these two lads here. So lane number 5, Dara Horgan, he is in at a 17:55.33, and then Tristan Egan, his entry time of an 18:02.37. So he will be looking to break that 18-minute barrier, and it looks like he's going to be doing it here.
Yeah, it looks like it. It is going to be Egan, I think, but Horgan's legs, he's bringing in the legs. He's not going to give up. The two of them have been a class apart, but yeah, Egan's bringing in the legs too as best he can. Switching to a straighter arm kind of stroke. You never see that in a 1500, but way to go. Here we go, coming in. Can he dip under that 17, just over that 1740 mark? He's going to be a 741.12, and Horgan a 1742.08. So they're both PBing nicely. Actually lapping the field there, always nice to do that. Well, coming in strong here is in lane number 3, Antonio Cascante. He got under his entry time, 17:57 for him. Oh, he's 0.1 over his entry time. That is heartbreaking on a 1500, but
heartbreaking on a 1500. But no, we've had some. We're just waiting for these final swimmers just coming into the wall. But we've had some fantastic swims from those first two heats. So in our first heat, we had a full 28-second PB from the winner of that first heat, and we've just had a 20-second PB as well from the winner of heat number 2. So really, really nice for those swimmers to be taking such chunks off their 1500 time, especially during a heat swim. So we just have lane number 8 and lane number 1 coming in. Now we also have lane 0 just turning at that last 50 as well.
So yeah, lane number 1, hat almost came off but didn't. Hung on. Here we go. Last swimmer of the morning coming in, finishing off 1500. Really tough to do. Jamie Murphy finishing off strongly. He's in on 18:33. He's going to be outside that, but still an accomplishment to get in here on the day 5 and do 1500. So really, really great from all those swimmers. We will have that fastest heat tonight featuring Nathan Whiffen. I don't expect anybody to be near him tonight. So obviously no Daniel in that. He's the Irish senior record holder in a 14:51. So some good races tonight. That men's 50 free, women's 2 breast, women's 2 free. That men's 2 medley is going to be really interesting with all the different sort of advantages those different swimmers have on their respective strokes, and then of course that 1500 as well. So
yeah, I'm sure you'll be looking forward to the men's 50 freestyle, seeing that that's your specialist event there, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Mona can pull out in that 200 metre breaststroke as well this evening.
Yep, so that's all from us this morning. Thank you very much, India. And we'll be back tonight for the final session of these Irish Open Swimming Championships at 5 o'clock. It'll be myself and John Kenny tonight commentating on that. So thanks very much for the week, India. It's been great.
Thanks, Dave.